Good afternoon. Welcome to yet another conversation. Today, the conversation is focused on whether there is an investigation or a probe in respect of Vice President Mnangagwa. If so, is it politically motivated? What do you think informs the probe? Succession or elimination? And this is not the first time that the issue of succession has been intertwined with criminalization, an attempt to make the would-be successor look bad. What are the facts? I'm just reminded that an article was published, which I'll post for ease of reference, so that we can use the same information that I also have in my possession. This is an article that was published by the Zimbabwe Independent. So I'll just copy that on the wall so that you can also have access to the same information that I also have. I'll go through the article so that we can all have the same discussion. Remember, this is part of active citizenship. Before we condemn, before we praise, I think it's important that we get the facts that are in the public domain. This article is entitled Mnangagwa Under Fraud Probe. This was published on September 29th, 2017. It reads as follows. Maybe I just welcome Milton Sitole, welcome. Sydney Taruinga, welcome. Vincent Chatima, Jabusile Shumba. So it reads as follows. Zimbabwe Republic Police Criminal Investigations Department is investigating Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa's role in the mismanagement and looting of ZANU-PF's business empire, leading to its collapse in what is seen as part of President Mugabe's succession wars. The author is a certain Owen Kagare, who presumably works for the Zimbabwe Independent. The Zimbabwe Independent is reliably informed that the police are investigating 39 cases of fraud, meaning the vice president could face up to 39 counts. It goes on to say, this police sources say this week the investigation stemmed from a ZANU-PF's report of the Committee on Party Investments, debated by the Politburo on July 27, 2005 and August 3, 2005. This is some 12 years ago. And it would appear the report was dead and buried for 12 years, but it's now surfacing because there's something at play, which revealed the company supervised by Mnangagwa, who was then Secretary of Administration, were a shambles due to gross management and corruption. Again, you see a Secretary of Administration being accused of a mischief in relation to companies that are associated or alleged to be associated with the party, with ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF had interest in public and private companies held through M&S Syndicate Private Limited. The ruling party had invested in Traeger Holdings, Mike Apple, Catercraft, Fibrolite, which closed in December 2004, as well as Zidley, which failed to take over Delta in 1989. The party also had interest in Southern African Reinsurance Company, SARE, Zidco Holdings, and First Bank, whose Democratic Republic of Congo investment also collapsed. ZANU-PF also had interest in National Blankets, Woolworth, Ottawa Building, which were disposed of under unclear circumstances. Furthermore, ZANU-PF separately owned Jongwe Printing and Publishing Company, as well as Jongwe and Nyazonya Farms. Mnangagwa, who sat on all the company's boards, supervised M&S Syndicate Private Limited with Man Halal, Chunal, and Jayant Chunal Joshi, also known as MC and JC Joshi respectively. The ZANU-PF probe team comprised the late David Karimanzira, who is now late, who chaired the committee, and the late retired Army Commander General Solomon Mujuru, Obed Mpofu, Simba Makoni, and Thokozile Matutu. So I guess Simba Makoni is no longer with ZANU-PF. Thokozile Matutu remains part of ZANU-PF. So the only surviving member is Obed Mpofu. The report said the companies were a mess and riddled with managerial corruption and incompetence, which could have prejudiced the ruling party of billions of dollars and assets. Welcome, Savannah. It said some of the companies had virtually collapsed, while others had not been audited for years, and their financial accounts were a complete mess. During mid-2005, the official exchange rate was $1 to 38 Zimbabwe dollars, although on the official black market it was $1 for 10,000 Zimbabwe dollars. On the first count, SARE allegedly paid a dividend of 13,900 on June 17, 2002, which was, however, diverted to Mnangagwa's First Banking Corporation account. Diverted. That's a technical term. And the dividend was paid to an individual. It's not clear from the count who was the shareholder entitled to this dividend. If it turns out that a non-party was the shareholder and the money, instead of being received by the shareholder, was received by a third party, then at least it should be clear from the facts of this count. On December 10th, 2001, 20 million Zimbabwe dollars was allegedly withdrawn from AM Trigger and deposited into Mnangagwa's Zimbank account. Mnangagwa also allegedly benefited from 33 million, which was drawn from AM Trigger and deposited into his Jewel Bank account on March 17, 2003. Police are also investigating allegations that 10 million was withdrawn from AM Trigger and reinvested into Mnangagwa Smafidi Corporation at NDH on March 27, 2003. On October 9, 2003, 2.3 million was withdrawn from AM Trigger and deposited into Mnangagwa's CBZ account, while on October 13, 2003, 3.3 million was withdrawn from Kushinga Investments and deposited to Mnangagwa's First Banking Corporation account, the report alleged. I see, welcome Emmanuel Sunduza. What's your interest in this matter? My interest is simple. As you may know, that I was a founding shareholder of First Banking Corporation, a bank that is apparently and allegedly involved in this. So my interest is first to know the facts that I may not be privy to, and also to share the facts that are available to me, so that we can then balance what is what, because I think often we discuss the issue of party, government, and we mix the two. This will be a party matter, where the complainant will be the party. And obviously, the government will only be involved insofar as dealing or processing the alleged crime. But this is a matter of public interest, because as you may know, the issue of succession is a live issue that people are talking about every day. But sometimes when we look at people, we don't have the facts to make any rational decision as to who we should prefer to be in government or not. So when we discuss people who are in government, we have the privilege actually of being able to bring them to book, because their conduct cannot be delineated into private or public. They remain areas of public interest. So if these matters are of public interest, then Emmanuel, I think you would agree that we all have an interest in knowing the distinction between the party and government. Surely, if a party is of members, and membership dues are what fuels the party to administer its programs, then it means we need to be able to distinguish whether, if ZANU-PF was not a party connected to government, whether these investments would be alive, worth talking about. So there is really no mischief, no ill intent in being able to know and to share, so that those who want to register and vote may do so based on facts, not innuendo, not superstition, not things that cannot be verified. Those with information obviously are free to bring it forward, so that it's not just a targeting at one individual. As you can see from the report of the Independent, this was published, and to the extent that nobody has defended it, one would assume what is represented actually is fact, unless somebody comes up with new facts. So what I'm reading is what was actually shared in a publication. Welcome Glenn Mapani, welcome Simba Ruanza, welcome John Pakudzi na Anishu na Anashe Mudukuti. Vamawere hakuna munhu asina chaakaita. That's fine. I think it's not so much that we are talking about things that have not happened. But I guess things of public interest, as we discussed yesterday, they ought to come to the fore so that we know what the facts are. We are not sitting as judges, but we know what is being said and why it's being said. And those with their own information also can come forward so that the public knows better. I think you would want a responsible and a responsive government of actors who know what your power should be used for. And Simba Chinganga, you say, are you making your analysis based on facts or speculation? I'm just reading what is there, and then I will then supplement with the facts known to me that may corroborate some of the stuff that is being mentioned here. So I'll continue just to read what it is so that we have the same script. You can also download the link so that we are reading from the same script. And this is not my facts. These are facts as reported. So when you dig deeper and want to understand why this issue of succession and the financial side where we can deal with financial literacy so that we better understand what is a shareholder, what is just another individual or director. We can also improve our literacy about corporate entities. And Emmanuel Sundusa says, I hope you will not stop with this individual. The next person should be Grace Mugabe, Xavier Kwasikwere, starting from where you withdrew your company from becoming a consultant for indigenization. There is nothing to stop. In fact, we need to go deeper in all the spheres. It's your government. That's why when elections come, you must have reached the point where you ignite people to look at people objectively, not with blinkers. So all the things that you are talking about, including the issue of indigenization and the issue of Honorable Kasukwere, those are issues that have already been ventilated in the media space. So we can bring them on without favor or prejudice. Are you aware of saying that says, if you don't read the paper, you are not informed, and if you read the paper, you become misinformed? I think Simon, yes, if you are misinformed, it's a good start, because sometimes the things that we read in the paper, we actually don't read it. We read the headlines and don't get deeper into the actual affair so that we can be able to make our own determination. It's not for me to say this is true or not true. I guess that's first we need to establish whether actually there is a criminal docket opened. If so, who is the complainant? Secondly, the author of this article is already given, which means we can also get hold of the person to say, if this is not true, by now, I think the people mentioned or the companies implicated would have taken the legal steps to protect their reputation and interest in the matter. As I've said before, this article was published on September 29, 2017, and it's almost a month gone. And if there was anyone who was challenging the veracity of the allegations that are contained therein, I think that would be a dispute between the party so aggrieved and the newspaper that published it. But for now, we assume that what is there is what it is, and that may be contained in some docket. Why now? Why is it not done years back? I think the truth, Simon, you ask a relevant question. The truth of the matter is, what is fact does not require age. what is fact remains what it is, and it will remain what it is for eternity. So there is no harm that will be occasioned on anyone if facts as they are inform conversations. My question is, where did you get the money to start a business? Did you at any time, at any point, front for whites? Again, Blessing, Bronick, Claudio, you ask a relevant question. You can get the answers. Where I started my story is there. There is a website that you can go and visit, mmawere.com, and you can get more facts. If you need more information, it's available. Although I'm not a public officer, and therefore I can only add what is known to me. And then Emmanuel Sunduza, can you also look at Undenge, the Minister of Energy? I guess by having this conversation, I'm igniting people like you to say, let's develop our own list so that we get to know how government is being administered on our behalf. The government does not belong to public office bearers. I think that is common cause. And nothing turns on it. It doesn't belong to Ndenge, it doesn't belong to anybody except you. It's your government. So if there's something that is amiss, and then somebody says, why are you talking about it? It's effectively saying, don't talk about it when the government belongs to you. If someone comes into government thin and then tomorrow is fat, you are likely to check what is the cause of this change of the way you look. If it's lifestyle, then you can also go there. Then I guess Gamani Gama has cut and pasted who I am. But obviously, people are always suspicious, which they must be. And it's important that people become suspicious, because otherwise, absent suspicion, speculation, gossip, what will be life like? But what we are trying to do is to take out the chaff and then deal with the facts that are involved in this matter that is being given life the second time round. And Blessing, Claudia, I was hoping you would not read the comment that exonerates you. No, I think there is no question of, this is not a court of law. I think we are here just to have an open discussion, Blessing. There is nothing that is, I'm not, I mean, if you want me to make me the object of your attack, that's fine. Nobody stops you. But if we want to get to the nitty-gritties of how this public space has been used over the last 37 years, then let's look at it objectively without any prejudice, any favor. So it's not so much that if you want to discuss about me, who I am, and what my journey is, I think there's no difficulty on that. I think that's welcome. But let's deal with this issue and deal with the questions of the day so that we have a proper and considered assessment of what the facts are. Some people may not have read this article, some people have read it. So we can compare notes and try to revisit this. Is Mnangagwa under probe as a matter of fact? If so, is it politically motivated? What informs the probe? Is it succession or elimination? If there is substance to the probe, let's deal with the substance. I think Blessing says, brilliant discussion, more objective. Thank you. I think we all need to be guided by people like Blessing to make sure that what we are talking about doesn't end up becoming a witch hunt, which is unnecessary, which has no context. There is an issue in Zimbabwe why is Zimbabwe where it is today? What explains this quagmire? What explains today the head of state is given, recognized as a goodwill ambassador, the next day the pressure comes from others and is withdrawn? The same person who was congratulating President Mugabe is the same person to say, I've applied my mind. Why couldn't he have applied his mind before? So all these things need to have a context. And today you find Mnangagwa is under probe. Yesterday, Imam Juru was under probe. Yesterday, Mawere was under probe. And all the people who are under probe, I think we need to have a better understanding of what we are dealing with. Johnson says, I think we should have leaders like you talking to the people. Again, I'm not a leader. I don't pretend to be one. And as I said yesterday, and I'll continue to repeat Johnson, like George Washington said, I walk on untrodden ground. That everything I do on its own is new. It's a precedent. Then I have to deal with uncertainty as part and parcel of the life that we call life. All these things, where they are facts, they also remain what they are. We can't change them. If, as is stated in the article, that there are investigations into allegations that $5 million then was withdrawn from the account of AM Traeger and deposited into Mnangagwa CBZ account on October 13. While on October 16, $1.7 million was withdrawn from AM Traeger and also allegedly deposited into his CBZ account. First, you have dates, you have amounts, and if this is created, then obviously we need to make sure that people like this never become journalists. We need to name and shame journalists who don't have a ground to start from. Emmanuel Sunduza says, do you have a beef with the vice president? Because of late you have been found to have a keen interest in what happens around him. May you come out clean if you are not a conduit of G40. First, this issue of personalizing, the vice president is not a vice president of a village or a vice president of a yard where the vice president lives. He's a vice president of the country. If there's something that you know that relate to the conduct of this person, then you need to be able to have the courage to say it as you know it. And I'm not targeting one person or other. I think as someone has said yesterday, it was an issue relating to indigenization. I didn't pick up a fight because I just want to end into a fight. I also have facts that may also help you, Emmanuel, to understand the true nature of the actors who act in the name of government, irrespective of the station they hold in government. If you're not interested in that information, then it's not your government. Then we can't claim that we want Zimbabwe to be better. What if the same person becomes your president and you say, why didn't you tell me if you knew what you knew and kept quiet? This is about sharing experiences, knowledge. Where I have an impact, I will also share. Not because I want to import myself into facts that I have no knowledge of. If I have knowledge, there are people who have accused me of being a crony of Mnangagwa, of the vice president. They have accused that, they have made allegations, serious ones, that the acquisition of SMM was facilitated by a government guarantee. I think Honorable Joao has said it in an innovative way that I'm a speculative political entrepreneur. Because according to him, I'm a speculator. I used Mnangagwa to be able to buy to buy a company. I have no brief with G40. I don't even know what the people in G40 looks like if I were to see them. All I hear is that G40 exists. Nobody gives me the facts of what this G40 is all about. What do they seek to achieve? Blessing says, Mr. Mawere, there is a saying, Guru Enoch Gavana Wayo, in politics hakuna bururu, friends of convenience. Again, I don't know what you mean, but I guess if there's a pig, maybe you're saying I'm the pig, or someone is a pig. And I guess you may be able to explain further. Then Trevor Temberstall says, are you having a feud with Vice President, or is it a bootlicking stance for favors from the G40? If I wanted favors, I would have sought. I don't have to wait to be an opportunist for favors. The history tells its own story, and the story is there. If there was nothing called SMM, there would have been no need for anyone in government to even pass a law to do that which was done. And if you think I was waiting for G40 to do what? And what would be the benefit to me, whether it's G40, G100? It doesn't matter. But what is it that you want yourself? What kind of Zimbabwe do you want yourself? Where people closed with government hands, government clothes, who then use government to deal with their personal issues. Then you are saying internal fights, yes, Blessing. If they're internal, leave them to fight themselves and let them fight. But government is yours, it's not internal. We have always assumed that government belongs to somebody. And if you are confirming that, please do so. That you have no interest in matters of state because you believe that internal fights should be left to protagonists who are in the battlefield, as you allege. That the government of Zimbabwe is not your battlefield. It should be prescribed, circumferenced, so that people who are outside remain outside. Then why vote for people in government? Why go for 2018? Why would you need to vote if already have accepted that internal fights, that for you to register your own voice, for you to add your own voice, then you are being construed to be an agent of someone, and your sovereignty is automatically qualified simply because people have no confidence in themselves. Where I don't have facts, I will read it as it is. Where I have facts, I will add my own facts. And let the facts be the judge. They have their own eyes, their own ears. And the moment we start making public affairs, private affairs, then we have a problem. We need people like Chinotimba in government. I don't know what you need in government, but we need to understand what is government for and what is government not for. Then Dennis Chikwana says, that's cheap politics. I'm not sure what is cheap. But at the end of the day, Chinotimba is not the government. Chinotimba is just human as you are. And what should the government of Zimbabwe do, or what should it not do, and what should the actors do who act in the name of the government? Whose government is it? If there are no issues, as reported in just one paper, this is not the only paper. We can go minister by minister to say, are they trustees or servants as contemplated in the Constitution? If they are not, if they stopped behaving or conducting themselves in the manner intended for them, then you, as a citizen, you have a right to voice your concern. But first, we must know what the facts are. And we must then deal with the facts. And then be able to have a meaningful conversation without favor or prejudice. Because this government does not belong to certain people. And the moment you keep some people privileged, others subjected to scrutiny, then if we're going to scrutinize one, let's scrutinize all of them. Who was the Secretary of Finance? Who was the Secretary of Administration? Those positions were given for a purpose. And this is something that is coming out today. But the facts of it are 12 years old. So if this thing happened in 2004, or it's 13 years now, then we need to know. I think 2003, that's 14 years old. And Michael Mswere, there's no probe. We have confidence in the VP of the country. We have no time for this tomfoolery. A country needs to be a runner, not these games people are wasting time on. Yes, that's Michael. You got you are saying there's no probe. We have confidence. You have confidence in one person. Fine, you are entitled to have confidence. That's why there's democracy. It would be wrong for somebody to say, "Look, take the facts as is," but not prepared to listen to facts is wrong. Then Albetakawira Nyavira, welcome. Emmanuel Sunduza, why is it coming out today? I guess a fact will always be there. Whether they come today, tomorrow, they remain what they are. And then Mwawere, even you support Generation 40. I don't know who to support. I'm not sure what Generation 40 is all about. In a way, I think Grace is doing a good thing. Let's face it. Mutasa is history. Mam Juri is history. And soon Nagoste will be history. Grace Ari Kudoneza. Mudara. Zanu PF. But what I dislike is Mbava. Zahari Guita. Recommend to position like an eye savior. I guess we are not, I think let's discuss things sequentially. Which facts are these? I think, Michael, if you have just joined now, tell us so that we can just recap where we have been so that you are up to speed. Otherwise, you are taking us back where we should be going forward. And this is always the problem, that instead of dealing with the facts as they are, there's already finger pointing. Why are you doing it now? If nothing existed, no one will ever implicate Emmanuel on facts that you are not aware of, you have no personal knowledge of. If no money was deposited, it remains the same. If these allegations have no fact, they all fall by the wayside. I think it's not for us to say generation this, generation that, as if we are agents of other people. That for me to talk here, I must have been injected with some ideas so that I become a mouthpiece for somebody. But what you say is not treated the same way. We treat you as a principal. So let's respect each other as principals, that we all have a stake. And if we all have the stake, if you support this person, that's for you. But not to deal with the facts. Tomorrow, there are people who supported somebody only to find the reality of independence being something else. So I think it's only fair that we deal with what we have. And if you have something to add or subtract, let facts guide us. And Michael, if you have not been part of the conversation from the beginning, it's only fair that we get your side and see how we can accommodate you in the conversation so that you are up to speed. Simon Chinganga said the biggest challenge is that hate and greed has become order of the day at the expense of the nation. If they hate you, they will create something to stick on you. So the allegations are not warranted. Yes, that may be true, but it's not. It's your government. It's not nothing to like or dislike. If the facts are there, let's deal with facts. It's your government. You have to make a choice of what kind of government do you want and what kind of actors do you want to act in your name, in the name of government. It can't be the case that you are tired before even you look at facts and then say the biggest challenge is hate and greed. This hate and greed occurs in government, in the four corners of the government. So if it happens in the four corners of government, you must be concerned, as anyone should be. And it will be misplaced, mistaken, for us to go far outside there. Then Blessing says government is a far-fetched issue in Africa. There are informal channels of power. Yes, if you are saying government is far-fetched, then decide that way. Why do you need elections? Why not just informalize it and just have a one-party state? Just continue with the same practice. We still vote on tribal lines. But the vote is given to the individual. You must say, I vote on tribal lines. And populists are elected because you participated in it. If it is your case that you vote on tribal lines, then fight on that tribal basis. Because if your vote is your right. However, the opposition lacks fundamental policies. Again, we need to decide what kind of government do you want. Do you want a government of thinkers, government of experts? If George Washington could say that I walk on untrodden path or untrodden ground, he knew something, that for you to be in government, you are precluded from knowing that which other people are not capable of knowing. You are just a human being, and if you are, then you are limited by your humanity, not expanded by your position. Then as Zimbabweans, we look for pity from outside without deciding on our own fate. Yes, Blessing, talk about yourself. Because the moment you group people, it becomes very difficult to know who is you, where the power of causation is, and what its address is and ought to be. You are you, not you. You are not a group. On Mugabe being appointed as goodwill ambassador of the WHO, then retraction sounds mischievous. In international relations, we are not surprised that that gesture belongs to him, and will always be. I respect Jim Mugabe. He did a lot for the Zimbabwean masses. Stop insulting him. Anyway, again, there is no insulting. If the country Zimbabwe, the people who are aspirational, are seeing their future secure, there's no need for any third party to insult anybody. But the conditions of Zimbabwe are what compels you to have this conversation. Because you are trying to find the fault lines. What if the problems of Zimbabwe could have been averted? Then what? Then, okay, of course he's referring to people that are within his sphere of interest. I'm not sure whether it's referring to me or whatever. But I can only comment about things that are known to me. And I can only take, if there are people who want to know what happened to SMM, and then deserve an answer. And if it was connected to this succession project, then let's deal with the facts and understand without favor or prejudice. Because the people who want power, they must explain why they want to be in government, in positions of power. What is it that they're going to do differently that they've not been able to do for the last 37 plus years? And they have to own up. You can't say, I support you, but I don't know what you've been doing in government. Or what you've been doing in government, it's privileged. That would be too, I think, too simplistic. So those are the things that we are looking at. And I can continue so that we can finish. I can see your questions. I know what is written here. If you want to access the article that I am reading, please say so that I repost it. If you have access to it, you get it anyway. Then, also in October 2003, $5.3 million, the then Zimbabwe dollars, was withdrawn from AM Trigger as cash and given to Mnangagwa. The vice president also allegedly donated $1 million to Munene Mission Hospital, which was taken from AM Trigger. The vice president also benefited from 2 million, which was withdrawn from AM Traeger on October 24th, 2003, and paid into his first banking corporation account. And on the same day, 19 million was withdrawn from the same account and used to pay for kitchen refurbishment at Mnangagwa's house. On October 31, 2003, 53 million was taken from AM Traeger. Okay, I think Blessing, you want a link? And Emmanuel says, my honest opinion is that there is someone trying to get public sympathy in running their succession agenda against VP, but surely we have seen a lot of this before, and this time it will not work. Our eyes are open, and we can't be used in such a devilish plan. I guess, Emmanuel, you are a sovereign person. If it's your government, then you must be persuaded to be the change that you want to see. But if you already know what is to be known, there's no need for you to even watch, even to comment, because you have answers already. And the whole essence of government is to allow people like you to be able to revisit some of the ideas you may have based on what you know or what you may not know, so that we all have the same information that we can operate with. I think it's not fair for you to assume that your government can be used in the manner you are suggesting, that I have no interest, a devilish plan. Who would have a devilish plan and give facts legs that they don't have? If these facts never took place, it's fine. You don't have to give facts legs. If no money was withdrawn, it says on October 31, 2003, 53 million Zimbabwe dollars was taken from AM Traeger. Mawarire should first tell us of his thievery and stop this nonsense. Took to belittle a fortune. I guess there is something. No amount of being used by G40 will get you anyway. No, it will get you nowhere close to power or get them close to power. You are making a fool out of yourself, old man. Mawere, I meant to say, I think Juk, in any system, you have to deal with what you have. If you believe I'm a thief, you know what to do. If you believe it's nonsense, you know what to do. Nobody forces you to know that which you don't know. But if you don't know something and you then become the expert of everything, then I'm sorry. This is not not the world that you can monopolize opinion on. And Duke a Blessing says, which ideology do you support? Enlighten us. Yeah, I guess Blessing, after we go through this, if you don't know what ideology I support, I'm not too sure where you want to state. Ideas, yes. What is the idea of government? What is the idea of power? Public power. How should it be exercised? How should it flow? Why some people seem to have more power than others? Why people are generally enchanted about power, disconnected from those they elect? What is happening in the real ground? These are the questions that we ought to be debating. And if you know what is being shared, if it's true, would you want this person to be in government? Yes, Emmanuel Sunduza says, facts 13 years later. Really, why now? Facts never change anyway. Even the Holocaust, there are people who died during the Second World War, during Hitler's regime, and the facts never changed. People still pursued those facts. At your age, acting a fool because you are broke, I guess if I'm broke and you are the one with cash, How would that affect you? How would my age affect you? Because Joke, you have your own age. You have your own life. If you have a better relationship with money, fine. Nobody will come to your door. But surely to refuse to appreciate what public power is and how it's used, I think it's irresponsible on anyone's part to then say that because of the person who is sharing what is already in the public domain, you must not share it because it exposes a person that I want to be in this position. In whose government? I think if it was a private affair, what happens in your bedroom, I have no interest in knowing. Keep it to yourself. But what happens in the name of the people, well, then we have reason to be concerned. And if you are not, then you can shut up and just keep to yourself. If your fraud case and you're teaching us about corruption, get the hell out of here, you thief. If I have, then it's for the South African authorities to deal with those. If you have a case against me, then you need to bring it forward. You can't be the one who says there's a fraud case here. Bring it on so that we deal with those cases. What are the cases about? And then we know what it is. Then each one of us must be accountable. But in this case, there's reference to First Bank, a bank that I started. So you can't say that I have no interest in it. You can't say I have no interest in some of the affairs that are being expressed here. So it will only be somebody who doesn't appreciate what government is, what government is not. You never told us why Gono targeted you. I guess you see, I mean, that's why the conversation is important. You never told, how do I know who you are? You are surfacing now. So it's a conversation. Let's have a conversation with you. But let the conversation be focused on what the facts are and what they are not. Then you see where I come in, where I don't come in. You cried, oh, foul, that Gono is targeting you. Tell us about that instead of being noisy about other people. It's not just Gono. And if you want a government led by Emerson Mnangagwa after Mugabe, that's your choice. But let other people make their own choices based on information that they have. If I'm a fraud, then you are a bigger fraud, Joke. Because refusing to listen, refusing to learn is a fraud in its own. Because you must be worried about yourself. Because the information that I'm sharing is not my information. It's information that has been shared by other people. So I'll proceed with the facts that have been expressed. The Vice President also allegedly benefited from 2 million, which was withdrawn from AM Traeger on October 24, 2003, and paid into his First Banking Corporation account. And on the same day, 19 million was withdrawn from the same account and used to pay for, I've already read that. Police are further investigating allegations that 5 million was drawn from AM Traeger and deposited into Vice President's account on November 3, while on December 10 million was paid into his CBZ account. The ZANU-PF probe team report had established that 650 million Traeger's Holdings check for dividend declared on February 18, 2003 for the year ended 31st, 2002 could not be accounted for. The ZANU-PF probe team report had established that, the report said it was inconceivable that Traeger's, in which ZANU-PF had 41.96% shareholding, managed to declare a 1.2 billion dividend in 4 years when its annual turnover was about 150 billion Zimbabwe dollars. There were queries over the make investment of 120 million in the portfolio investment company M&S Investments by ZANU-PF's wholly owned investment arm, M&S Syndicate. The report said another company, Namzim, was closed due to mismanagement and the property was looted by unknown people. Some companies' books, for instance, those of Catercraft, were not audited for 4 years, while there were no board meetings for 2 years. Mnangagwa, who was interviewed twice by the probe committee because he held sway over the party's network of companies, confirmed the chaos in the businesses by admitting most of the companies had no records. He, Mnangagwa, said that in most of these arrangements there were no written agreements on the formation of the companies, and most of these agreements were done verbally between parties. The report said neither was there an agreement for payment of management fees to the Joshi brothers, as these companies were operating as one. The Joshi brothers and Deepak Pandla fled the country shortly after the probe began. Several ZANU-PF officials were quizzed about their escape. Former ZANU-PF Secretary of Administration Didmas Mtasa said that the three ran away from being arrested and were in regular contact with him. He said Jayant was believed to be in Dubai, while Man Alal was in Manchester, England. Some of the ZANU-PF investments, such as in Bindura Nickel mine, were also unclear. The report stated that ZANU-PF had a 23% stake in Bindura through the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Further inquiries into this investment were recommended. There were also fears that companies like Traegers could have externalized funds. As a result, the report recommended that police law enforcement agents should go into further investigations in order to establish any prejudice in terms of revenue to the party on its investments. More investigations were required into the shady M&S 120 million investment, Fibrolite, Catercraft operations, the unaccounted for 650 million Traegers dividend and other dividends declared without audited accounts, as well as Mike Apple's dividend declarations. The report said it was surprising that Mike Apple declared a $31 million dividend in 2003, but $250 million in 2005. Sare and shelf companies like M&S Investments, segmented investments through which ZANU-PF held a 27% interest in First Bank, and Smoothness Investments, Hudsonville, Amelia Properties, the report said should also be further investigated. And that is the story. The story, as I said, was published in September 29, 2017. And Stanley Mafoshola Nyoni says that's how then them politicians put each other down. It's a game of Animal Farm. And Juke, you said you went to an extent of defrauding lottery board when you forged an NC letter in 2013 to use it to take money from lottery board. How sick are you? If that was correct, this is 2017 and you are referring to 2013. How come I'll be speaking to you if it was correct? And if you have facts, you need to provide the facts where this whole affair that you think you have facts on Why don't you come on record and give your facts? Then Emmanuel, how many people did you bribe in Zimbabwe to try to get them to give your companies back in a corrupt way? If you know that somebody has been bribed, please, this is your opportunity. Then ask questions. What I'm reading here is somebody's version of facts, not my version. Emmanuel Sunduza, the article was written by Jonathan Musoro Bangumoyo through his protege Jealous Mawarire, who is lost in the political wilderness. Tomuda Akadaro. And then why are you, Richard Soko, why are you talking about Mnangagwa when you know that the most corrupt man in Zimbabwe is Chombo? It doesn't make sense to me. People want to destroy Mnangagwa. I'm not too sure who has stopped. The issue of Chombo, I think, is in the public domain. The issue of Mnangagwa is in the public domain. But I don't understand what, Richard, you are saying. If you are saying that nothing should be said about Mnangagwa, say so. And Juk says you paid your way out of these cases. If you know I paid, then it is a criminal offense. Go and report it, Juk. Don't talk about things that you have no facts on. If you want to speak on behalf of the South African government, do so. They are competent to speak for themselves. And Eva Joyce Sakatsa, welcome. And take that question back to yourself and ask, why is ED not in prison? You are a fool, Mawere. Your little show is useless. And then Tondra Mdewe, Iwe Mdara Iwe, is this your personal page all along? Need to make sense of some posts I see on here. If you need to, I think nobody stops you. I think it's a public space. If it's a public space, then it must be used in that interest. And if ED was a private man, nobody cares. Juk, I don't even care who you are, because nothing turns on you, because there is nothing to talk about. Because I have no brief, I don't believe you have any public power that you should be accountable for, unless you are disguising yourself. You come out on record and speak your mind. And that's what everybody else does. Then Kenya's Nyevetsanai, when you look at SMM back, I think the show is really not about SMM. SMM, the facts are there, and you can get more facts on SMM on the website www.fosmm.org. And Stanley, you talk of an animal farm. It only becomes an animal if people refuse to accept that public power is and belongs to the public. There is no one who is above the public. And no matter what a joke or anyone says, there is public power is your power. And people need to know what the facts are. And people need to know and deal with facts the way they are. If you have new facts, that's fine. And Tendai's Nyama says absolute power corrupts absolutely. It only becomes absolute when people refuse to accept and the facts as they are. Instead of dealing with the facts that are reported, they will try to distract, to protect, to bamboozle others. And he says you are full of scandals around you. Fine. And I am not seeking your vote anyway. I don't know how you sleep at night. Everything you touch turns into scandalous. What is the scandal about this? And you want to sell us a rotten product of yourself to appear as a genuine, clean person. Please give us a break. Mawere, you are a dirty old man. Okay, if the case is about me, that's fine, but change it and make Mnangagwa a private citizen and make me a public citizen. I have not sought your vote, so Joko, you be rest assured that you don't have an opportunity to pronounce any opinion or anything on me. I have the right to pronounce an opinion on anyone who is in government. Can you shine, when are you getting your company back, Darlington? I guess you don't know what happened in respect of SMM for you to ask that question. If you knew that there is a law that was passed that legitimized the theft, then you don't really have the facts. Can you shed a light on a matter where you invited the indigenization board to South Africa for you to become a consultant with indigenization, and you in principle you agreed only to be told you can't fit later on by the minister? I think that's for another day. Kenya's Nyeved Zanai says, personally, I'll vote for you. That's what it is. He's not getting anything back. His handlers won't be able to help him get it back. I have a handler, Joke, get real. I think you are asking Emmanuel Sunduza if it's a question of trying to get away from the subject of the day. Let's have another conversation that you can also lead when you're saying, let's deal with indigenization. Make an effort to get your news from a variety of sources and not just those that support your own opinions. You are turning politics into hatred. I like you. It looks like you have got a grudge. Na VP Mnangagwa. Welcome, Koma Masimba. I don't think Mary Ann Cake, you get the point. If it is your government, then you decide to reduce it to personal issues, then that's fine. That's your prerogative. Nobody can stop you. But surely, Mnangagwa, the person, there is no issue with him. But Mnangagwa, the state actor, you must be concerned by what kind of people are in government and what are they doing in government. And Leon Legend says, keep up the good work. Mr. Mawere, you got our back. We met at BBQ Awards. Thanks, Leon. I guess there are people who would want to change history, and I don't presume that Mary Ann Cake, you are saying that there are other stories. If you've got another version of the story, let's deal with it. We have dealt with a number of these stories before, and we need to deal with them. We worry about fraud business, people like you as well. Yes, don't elect them. Don't bring them into government, Joke. What we are talking about is a person who is a vice president of the country. And if you have facts, let's deal with facts. And if Mnangagwa is not a public office bearer, there's no issue that turns on it. So we need to be able to get to the facts of where I come in and how I relate to these facts. And then you can make your own judgment. But you can't preempt that. Like Emmanuel, let's deal with the facts that are known to me. Then you can decide whether the facts are wrong or okay. But we can't dismiss facts. Then ED is the of problems Zimbabwe is facing today. He was part of the Seekers who bad mouth and were architects of Njuri's downfall. Same fate is now facing him. Power-hungry ZANU-PF of individuals on a question reach the same. It's good reason to bed rubbish if the ZANU-PF house is on fire. If you are worried about government, you should have cake to address all the government issues involving everyone, not Mnangagwa alone. You defeat the purpose of the fight and showcase your sick, disgusting agenda. Yes, if it's sick, let's deal with it. And then you make a decision on the basis of sickness. I don't pretend to know everything. If you know something, as you seem to do, share it. And let's deal with what you know. It is your government. But if you are saying that your government must be privatized, must be captured, must belong to certain people just because you like them, then it ceases to be a government. It's worse than an animal farm. And Emmanuel Sunduza, if you hear that government has recently guaranteed construction of $1 billion university at Mazoe, you may know better, Emmanuel. But let's have that subject about the use of public funds. And those who want to know my contribution, I can only contribute to what I know, not what I don't know. And if you have better facts, let's have another show. I need not be on every show. There's a lot that is happening. You have a right to include the information that is available to you, and you make it your own subject matter to discuss. I can't know it all. Mkoma Masimba, please, Juke, check the topic again. It starts by asking, is Mnangagwa under probe? So it's a discussion based on ED. You make it about Mnangagwa, which disqualifies you as a person to address corruption. Your handlers are the most corrupt bunch with no idea what leadership is, and let alone how to talk economics. Again, you are saying I have handlers. You can't treat me as an individual like you. I take what you are saying to be coming from you, not to accuse you to be a handler for somebody else. I should like to believe that you are who you purport to be, and you have your own facts. You are not here discussing here as a proxy for somebody else. I am surely not a proxy for anyone else. So if you are speaking as a principal, be a principal and include your own facts. No, you are not an individual in this case. We know you so well. Who is we? If you have other people who know me, bring the facts on so that we let facts debate facts, not debate the person. It doesn't change the facts. Whatever you may want or you wish, the facts will remain. And the sooner you talk about those facts, tomorrow the same people you are trying to protect will be in your government. And what are you going to do? You can fool the viewers, but not all of us. You are a spent force. I guess if I'm a spent force, switch off. You don't need to be surrounded by spent force. If somebody is a spent force, you'll be looking for food in your home. So you must be able to decide what you want to do. I think Joke has his own. He can come on. I mean, and then Emmanuel Sunduza, this is a good start. Mr. Moyare, can I give you a schedule for the next program? Tongo Bata, my public officials all say, Tongo Ziti, Zese Pachena, please give us a detailed program with names so that we gather and bring own facts to those people. Then people can judge justly. And as you are aware, I think, Emmanuel, the public space is open. And even when I'm busy, you still can be able to take those issues forward. And all we're trying to do is to ignite people to talk about their government. And the fact that you have facts on the government where I can contribute, I'll contribute. You don't even have to ask me to be the secretariat of that effort, because the information is available. It's a disgusting show anyway, to enlighten people that the person in you is a fraud and can't be trusted, just seeking attention the wrong way. Joke, if the focus is on me, then you are missing the point. And there is no reason anyway to talk about a person who is not in the forum. So if you have issues, get the issues out. Is Mnangagwa under probe? If he is it political? Are these facts created? Are they manufactured? You are not talking to facts. If you believe that the facts are manufactured, talk to the facts. And the facts are there for you to be able to talk to the person who penned that article. Instead of dealing with the facts, you want to deal with the person so that you can thrive in your own protection. You see no evil, hear no evil, talk no evil, because the people who are concerned are actually the people who are on your side. And now turning back to the issue of smoothness, I think we can talk to it and see what we need to do. Then Colin Tewera says Mnangagwa is as good as fired. I don't know where that comes from, but Mnangagwa is the vice president of the party. Mnangagwa is the vice president of the country. So if he's as good as fired, please give us information on that. Emmanuel said, it would be good if you do it since you have started it. Why would you not want to do it on other government officials? I have no problem doing it. I've written about it. I've talked about it. All I'm saying is that active citizenship requires people like you to be also active agents than centralize a good effort. If you believe it's good, let's talk about what the role of government should be and what it is, and whether government is being used to good use. This, you have a right to talk. Everybody has got a similar right. There's nobody who is an agent of somebody else. And it's not one person we are talking about. We are talking about the government, which is your government, where your facts and things are burning on your side. Don't keep it to yourself. Use the facts for good. And if you believe that your government is not being used for the purpose for which it is intended, then it's your prerogative to do so. I'm not saying I don't want to do anything, but I'm saying that it should go beyond one individual. Emmanuel, so without Mawere, there is no discussion about Zimbabwe government. You do it, bro. Don't expect anyone to play a role you initiated. Again, as we discuss issues and initiate ideas, today we are talking about succession or elimination. Let the facts talk to themselves. I don't think, Emmanuel, you are saying that we should not talk about the issue of ED, not ED as an individual, as a public office bearer, as a party functionary. Some people are saying ZANU-PF rotten to the core. But then when you say bring the facts, then nobody brings the facts. Then Tendai, one who appoints can as well disappoint. ED lost favor with the incumbent who appointed him. So it's up to the incumbent if he still needs him or not. Thus, it's no use discussing it there. if there is a probe or not. I guess when you are discussing, because some people may accuse you wrongly, and you may not have the right to defend yourself. People will take what is in the newspaper to be true and not true. And all you are discussing is just to unpack what is already there. What if it's not true? And people believe it's true. Would it be fair to the person concerned? Then Colin Tevera says, Grace is already being elevated to the post of Mnangagwa. Check with ZANU-PF Youth League. Again, I don't know what is to come. All I know is what is present. But if you have facts, they must be debated, they must be discussed, they must be interrogated, they must be unpacked. What if this is a political game? They are trying to bring a case that was dead into the present. And what if Mnangagwa is innocent? What are the facts? Those with facts must bring them on. Shame, Sterek. Shame on you. But at least people now know you better say. Fine, Mary Ann, if you are Mary Ann. Then Solomon Ngwena, welcome. So you want to have all the sides to the facts. We have one side which is published. The person has not been convicted, and you presume that the person is innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. Nobody is saying it is guilty, but this is what was written, and is it true or not? And if you are not interested in establishing those with facts that disprove what is there, then we need to be able to use those facts to then dispel this whole notion that a whole vice president was involved in these shenanigans. And if it's not true, it's not true. Then we have Emmanuel Sunduza Mkoma Masimba. Mr. Maore has got many followers since he has started with it. We can actively contribute to it. At the end of this discussion, we can come up with names of people which we will discuss. That's a point. Patience Walker, how much have you given? I'm not sure given to what from Patience. But Emmanuel, you got a point. Yeah, let's say, do you agree, Emmanuel, that we have to finish what we started? There are two sides to it. This issue was investigated in 2005 and it was buried for 12 years. Now it's coming into the fore. Is it coming because it's contrived, or it's coming because it was never dealt with in the first place? So if there are no facts to support it, let's deal with it and close it. But there are people who are saying that this matter has been referred to the police. And if you take the facts, then we need to be able to look at the facts and interrogate them. Patience Walker, how much have given? It's a shame say. I'm not sure. Everyone thinks somebody has to do someone's bidding. There is no space for open dialogue, open discourse. And there won't be facts as long as ED remains quiet. We can't be the devil's advocate. ED must face his facts to clear his name. But as long as he keeps quiet, bows and dances to his appointee, then it's fate. It's his fate to clear his name. Again, we are saying when you're talking about public power and succession is being discussed, sometimes in bad faith, sometimes in good faith, what are the facts that support it? And I hope, Emmanuel, you see the point, that these are allegations. It's not a conviction. These are allegations that may probably attract different answers. And the person who is to provide the answers has to be that person. Yesterday it was Ma'am Juru, and some people were quiet, thinking it was only her. And she was removed based on allegations. And now, after the passage of time, where do facts lie? Do we know whether what VP Mujuru was accused of was true or false? Then Tendai Zinyama, why is ED quiet? He may be quiet like everybody else, like Mam Juru was quiet when they were throwing brick bats on her, only to find that she was removed. But after the passage of time, people may still revisit that and say, was it true what we were being sold? You may discover that it was not true. And it was all speculation, it was all superstitious. And if it is, do you want a country where gossip, where allegations become conviction, where a person who is accused is already assumed to be guilty? Is that the kind of country that you want to be in? Or you want a country where the presumption of innocence is a fundamental tenet of the rule of law? And Ngonizashe Choko says, all rubbish from people who hate Mnangagwa will not work. I'm behind Mnangagwa. Viva Mnangagwa, who only votes ZANU-PF. Mnangagwa is a candidate. Viva Ngwena. Then that's fine. Patience also says Viva ED. And if this was what? ED was part of the lies which removed Mujuru, and now it's him. Speculation and gossip will become conviction for him too, as a ZANU-PF normal norm. What was not normal, Tendai, now is the normal. Now is the norm. ED is a lawyer, was a minister of justice. When fingers were pointed on Mujuru, he should have been the first one to say, let's separate fact from fiction. And if there is a case against Mujuru, it ought to be processed in the normal channel, like everybody else. Not to politicize it and have a political docket. So if you want Zimbabwe to be better, and if you want to be ignited, this alone will tell you something. There are people who were celebrating that, hey, it's Mujuru, she's guilty as charged. There are people who are celebrating Mawere is this or that. And even the whole issue of SMM is then taken out of context. Why would a government cross over and take a company that it didn't have any interest in? And who are the parties involved? And what we say about those people? And that information ought to be discussed openly. Because today, it may be Mnangagwa. Tomorrow, it's Emmanuel. Tomorrow, it's Patience. And tomorrow, it's somebody else. And is this the country that you want to be part of? Where allegations themselves can actually mutate into a conviction in the public domain. That then follows with loss of job, loss of career, based on things that are patently false. When people could have discussed openly and say, but this doesn't make sense. This makes sense. And Tendai says, true, what goes around comes around. But for how long can we go through this merry-go-round, Tendai, and say this is the norm, and now is the normal norm? Patience believes otherwise, that Mnangagwa at all costs. Let's look at the facts. Then anyone who tries to look at the facts, automatically you are told you must not look at the facts, because you are part of this G, that, GY, as people don't think for themselves. This kind of minimalist attitude is what causes more problems, because people believe themselves that they know better. And then ED will suffer what he supported, 1 cent of power. Yes, you got a point there. Is this 1 cent of power consistent with the democratic principles and values? How do we stop allegations from deciding our future and fate for our country? It looks like that is what everybody is pushing for. That let allegations, that's what Duke was talking about. Talking about allegations, and for him, allegations already constitute a conviction, which means there's no need for any court of law to be involved. Should it be the kind of civilization that allows somebody to point the finger at you and say you're a murderer, and then automatically you become a murderer because of that? Then David says, if Mnangagwa leaves, which means anytime anyone can leave, because he has played a major role in eliminating a group of other people who were in ZANU. So ZANU-PF will not be a party to rely with. If it's your employer, you will be having sleepless nights. Then Mary Ann says, despite of what you guys are talking about, I don't respect the rule of law, or all I want, viva Mnangagwa. Then what? Mnangagwa becomes president. Then what? Are you going to sleep because Mnangagwa is better? And then again, Adeline Mgubo Mnangagwa is better than the rest. Yeah, perhaps Adeline, you may have a way of examining people. Then are you not corrupt? Say again. Then Mary Ann, corruption. If the way I know it, it relates to the use of power. If somebody has power and has used it improperly and has failed to disclose, has been dishonest with your power, that's when corruption comes in. The issue is not about me, but I don't have the power to be able to make someone's life better or not better, or to do the things that the allegations relate to. But people who are elected, people who are public officials, they have a duty to their employer to say, okay, I earn $1,000 and my lifestyle supports the lifestyle of somebody who earns 1,000. And Ngoni Zashe Choko, Viva Garwe, and Mawere come back home. Nemari yese makainda nayo. I never left Zimbabwe, for your information, with any money. But if you believe that money was taken, then it's important that you come, then let the courts decide, not you. And then Patience says, yes, we are going to sleep. And Sarah Greco says, hello from Roma, Italy. And Patience says, stop this nonsense, old man. Then Adeline Mgubo, let's give Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa a chance to run Zimbabwe. Again, this chance will be given during the elections. So what are you saying? Get away nonsense. Patience, what is it that you are saying? Are you saying that allegations must be tantamount to a conviction? Are you saying that discussion must not take place to determine and establish whether the allegations are true or false? Zimbabwe is beyond E.D. Mugabe Morgan. Our problem as a country is caught by this issue of center of power nonsense, sense of entitlement, where some people believe they are born to lead us to eternity. Let's look at the country beyond individuals. Clearly, people have their own opinions, and they are advancing their own opinions. But what we are saying is, where something is in play, let's be an open book. Let's talk about it, because we have no way else of talking about this other than put the facts on the table. What chances are you talking about? They are in power already. That's David Sasa is saying, Patience and others, Marianne, that you can't give someone a chance who is already in government, has been in government for the last 37 plus years. And they have had a chance to prove themselves. And you are saying, no, Mnangagwa has been suppressed, oppressed by Mugabe, and therefore Mnangagwa must stand on his own. Emmanuel Sunduza said the country is in a constitutional crisis where a person who is not elected to power goes around bragging that she is ruling the country. Surely this is not the country we want, where mediocrity is celebrated and educated people are made to sell in the streets. The article is a product of Jonathan Moyo and his fight with ED. For goodness sake, it was investigated and thrown away 12 years back. As such, it should remain in the trash bins as it is trash. Yes, I think, Emmanuel, you have your own way of looking at things. What if it is not, Emmanuel? What if it's fact? What if it's not? Surely should no discussion take place? Just because you like a certain individual, you are saying that, I guess you mean Grace, that she's going around the country and she's bragging that she's ruling the country. But none of the people, including Mnangagwa, are elected to be in their position. They are appointed by the same person. And Tendai Zinyama, let's face the elephant in the room. We're beating the bush. Who caused all these allegations? We know the lady behind all this. So Tendai, the lady that you are talking about, presumably is the first lady. What you are saying is that this is political, that the issue of Mnangagwa is no substance. Is that what you are saying? And then David Sasa, we need, who is the candidate we are voting for this election? Sakele, should you be asking that question? Or should you be providing an answer? And why? Because you are sovereign. You are an individual. You have your own power to know what you want and what you don't want. So what are you saying about the future of Zimbabwe? That it should be a business of somebody else, or it should be your business as well? And Emmanuel says there is no sincerity in all this. And I hope we know what, why was it thrown away? We need people who are bold, like Chinotimba, bold enough to ask the minister what's happening with fuel crisis. Those are the ones we can give a chance to. And that's what you are saying. So you have your own candidate, Chinotimba David, and that's the way it is. And okay, then Colin Tevera say, why was it thrown away then? Manuel Sunduza, you are saying, I think what the story says is that the key witnesses, the Joshi brothers and some of the people who were meant to be there, were no longer in the country. They left the country. Perhaps the matter was not concluded. I don't have the facts. But obviously, it's something that we can investigate. Why is it coming up now? What is it that has happened to give life to this? And we also had Professor Moyo saying that he got a car a pickup, and that pickup was financed by somebody else. And he was part of this Cholojo declaration. He may have new facts to shed. Who knows? I think the issue is that it has been brought back. And then for me, no use to register to vote, maybe 2023. Tendai, you are not helping anybody by announcing or threatening not to vote. If you believe that Zimbabwe needs to change, and you are the change that is required, then please be able to be the voice. And then anebora ndiye anomakwa, we have had no reason for you to say what you are saying about ED. We would have no reason for you to say, well, it's not about AD, it's about all the public. As the manual says, I think it goes beyond one and one person. What is required is for people to talk about active citizenship. If you are an active citizen, then obviously you can't be selective. You have to go beyond one case. And that's what we are embracing even for Emmanuel. The only thing is we still have not gone beyond what the facts are, so that we bring the facts as they are. And you become the judge, because at the end of the day, you have to vote, knowing what you are voting for. Helen Rushwaya, Unganai Walter Chiwore, Kule. Okay. So it's not so much that people are saying, believe what we are saying. We are saying that the allegation is there. This practice of criminalizing people has gone for too long. Should we leave it like that, or should we be able to go beyond that? Why can't they chase both Prof and ED from the party, and there won't be all these counter allegations to prove the incumbent? Again, Tendai, the difficulty we have is that when people are not interested in having an objective assessment, these accusations will come. At first it was Nyagumbo, gone. Mtumbuka, gone. Others came, went. And if there is no discussion about this idea that every time we disagree with somebody, we have to associate them with mischief, overthrow, coup d'etat, and people are arrested for that. Yesterday, Pastor Evans Mawariri, what crime has he committed? You find that this idea can become pervasive, can become so tempting that anytime, anyway, everybody would always bring up the criminality of conduct only to achieve a political end. Why is it all the people who will be contributing to the economy always get kicked out of Zimbabwe, while other countries protect their rich people, but in Zimbabwe we kick them out? Why? David says, there is also an assumption that I was kicked out. And the facts are not there. Let's deal with the individuals and deal with each one who has his own facts, so that we talk through the facts that we know, rather than for us to keep on talking about things that we have no facts on. Then ZANU, Majira Chitova, ZANU has always been a criminal organization, Mister. I don't know what a criminal organization is, but what I do know is individuals can produce allegations. As you see, Patience he says, go rest, please. Because if I was talking about a candidate, she would not say go home and rest. If I was talking in her favor, she would say Mawere is a good man, only because I am talking about what she wants to hear. Right now, she's not prepared to, if it's a woman at all, that patient is not prepared to deal with facts. And then Tendai says, Kushkarini, same tactic allegations used to eliminate an opponent. It will continue unless you put a stop at it. And before you go further, you need to deal with what is there. You need to be able to say, not like patience, who doesn't have the patience to deal with facts, but has impatience to come to the conclusion that her candidate, irrespective of what is being said, must be the only candidate. Wellington Chagonda, what do we benefit from change of leadership that has left the economy to be in the sorry state it is in? We need new leadership with new ideas, not this dead wood which is as good as manure. Retire and be advisors if you still have the steam. And patience, you actually don't have to listen. You can go and rest. Colin Tavera, these are rulers, not leaders. We need leaders. And Tandi Noku G says, who is this man? I guess you are referring to me or referring to somebody else. Please clarify, Tandi. ZANU has been and is good at divide and rule, which works out for them. Any strategy that addresses the latter can go a long way for Zimbabweans. Ezra Mbangani. So I think the issue is, do you want to be fair and be the change that you want to see? And Ngonizazi Choko, Congress is near. Mnangagwa must challenge the men. Gata or Pakamira than Gunyara Achitsigira Munu Wasingade Paka Ipam Dar. Okay, Mambi Mdaweni Tandi, David Sasa. It's not only you, Mr. Mawere. Chiangwa said this on his shift business meeting a year ago. So it's not about you. People who are doing mass production, they always suffer. Again, it's not about the individual. If there's no rule of law, it cuts across. Today is Chiangwa, tomorrow it's you, David. So what we are saying is, how do we cure this problem? If today we are discussing the issue of Mnangagwa, we have been diverted from it to say, what are the facts? What happened? How was it resolved? Then Mnangagwa will also know that what we are discussing is actually to his benefit. Because if he's wrongly accused and people make conclusions, then if Mugabe is not fit to govern, then should he be fit? Then people need to be able to make that determination. So if he's being wrongly accused, why is it that we are not able to get the facts and be able to deal with what is fact and what is fiction? But clearly some people would rather deal with fiction. Majgira says, the soon ZANU-PF supporters stop making Mugabe God, the better. He owns the party. I'm not too sure, Majgira, what ownership means and how a party can be owned or not. And Patient says, ED is not going anywhere, full stop. That's fine. If you believe that is not going anywhere, then please deal with that in the proper forum. If you think this is the proper forum, let's discuss it. But yesterday it was Maim Juru who was thrown out of the party. And what happened? She was accused of many things, only to turn out that the people who replaced her also felt that what the allegations were as true as anything else. When the allegations were wrong, nobody would then publish to say, Ma'am Jury, she won't be on the front page of any newspaper, where people can then make their apology and say we were wrong because what we thought was true is not true. And if you want to remove somebody, you remove. But if the allegations are there, and you don't even know what the nature of the allegations are, tomorrow they become real because you have not dealt with them. So, patient, this is not a conversation about you. It's not a conversation about anyone. It's to be able to stop this nonsense. And where a person has done mischief, then let's know what the mischief is, so that we can make the decisions ourselves. Then, Emmanuel Sunduza, this is a way to destroy ZANU-PF from within by Jonathan Moore. You could be right, Emmanuel, but where does that take us? Should it be a discussion about Jonathan, or should it be a discussion about what has happened since independence to get where we are today? That every time some people want to manage somebody's affairs, they throw in something. And then they say you are a criminal. And other people, followers, believe it. And Majgira, Mugabe does what he wants with you people because you gave him all the powers. I'm not sure which people, but I think we need to be able to get the actual names of the people that you are talking about. Patient said it is. I'm not sure what it is. But what it is what it is. What can you say? David said the problem is we are not getting his side. He's just quiet. So he will go because of that. We need to hear his side. And then we will come with any answer. Mujuru left because she was just quiet and she never did anything until when she formed her own party, which was too late. Again, what are the facts? I think, David, you will agree with me that let's get the facts. What is he being accused of? And then we can apply our own minds to say, does it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? Because facts are facts. Cousin George Mike, let's not worry about ZANU-PF fights. The guy, what we need in Zimbabwe is political education to counter long years of brainwashing. We need a new philosophy for our people. We're suffering because of our culture and philosophy. No common values, no vision. So, cousin, how do we secure this common vision without understanding facts? And then Ezra Mbangani, Mnangagwa has been a ZANU strategist, and imperative that he keeps it together. Any unwise decision will make him a victim of divide and rule. And Majira Shitova, EMUS ZANU-PF, Emmanuel Sunduza, also look at the big boat that left Zimbabwe with a huge loot. What was that boat, Emmanuel? If you got a boat, let's discuss that boat. Let's give it a day to discuss the boat. And let's have you talk to the boat. Let's not talk about a boat that we don't know anything about. You may know what is in the boat. So, we have Mnangagwa should not break Ezra. They will push him and push because they want him to give in. That is a mistake you will make. Okay. So what are you saying, Ezra? Are you saying that there are no facts? This is political? You have no interest in the facts? Or what are you saying? Because we keep on getting a diversion of what we were trying to show, that yesterday it was Maimjuru, today it's Mnangagwa. How valid are these allegations? Keith Chirara, this country is a large boat. We can't just turn it around like it's a canoe. As Rambangani, Mnangagwa should not break, they will push and push because they want him to give in. Then Fanwe Mtape, it's all about the old adage, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. What we are seeing now is a final implosion, secondary to greed and total neglect of the masses. So that's, then as David Sasa, as it doesn't matter how much he contributed when he's to go, he will go. Mujuru did much in ZANU-PF and her husband as well. Mtape's succession planning was totally ignored. Is it about succession planning? If so, who should plan? Perhaps you can tell us who should plan. Because President Mugabe said, I will not be involved in any succession politics. He's out. There is, Emmanuel Sunduza, there's a huge boat that left Harare to Chobe River in Namibia. I don't find the rationale to make it here whilst material is cheaper there. Parliament should investigate the boat and get it searched before it goes out of the country. Okay, you may know something else. Again, nobody stops anyone from making suggestions. But are you saying that we should regard allegations as a conviction? That's a direct question to Emmanuel. Should allegations not be tested, even in the court of public opinion? And if it can be yes or no, so that we know, then we can move on to test the allegations. What do you think out there? Should allegations be sufficient and exhaustive to substitute a due process of the law? And Gumire Musewe, I don't care what happens to Mnangagwa until he brings out Itai Zamara and takes responsibility for Gukura Hundi. Again, what are the facts on Itai Zamara? What are the facts on Gukura Hundi? What are the facts on Mnangagwa's conduct and the reality of Itai Zamara's fate? And what is the link between Gukura Hundi and Mnangagwa, the person in government? So let's look at all that and then decide what kind of government we want to see. Who should be in it? Who should not be in it? So it's your government. There is no one else. But the moment you decide to make some people holier than thou and become selective, which is the issue that Emmanuel was referring to, if you want evidence, okay, I think the evidence is not for me, but for you to share the evidence, then we can have it. So, Emmanuel, you have come out right. Let's not appear as if we are targeting certain individuals. There's already targeting taking place. But let's not succumb to that. If there is, I'm saying to you, is it sufficient for us to consider allegations as convictions? If so, please talk to us. Tell us. So that we can then go after we accept the principle. Either we set aside the general accepted and well-established constitutional principles that the one who alleges bears the onus to prove. It can't be the case that the person who is accused has to prove his case. But where we are dealing with these matters, what is it that the public can take home and say, do I trust this one? If you have been in a car where mischief was taking place, then someone says, the guy in the front seat, take him out. We want him. He's better than the rest. Then that choice must be informed by something. And Emmanuel, maybe you can help us. And Gumre Msel, it's not about what happens to Mnangagwa. What if Mnangagwa is innocent? Then what? And should it be a kangaroo court that convicts him? Or should it be a proper court? And where do we get the evidence? There are many things that we speculate without evidence. And Fanwe Mtape says, I see a scenario where Ngwena is pushed off the gravy train. Whether the allegations against ED are true or not is not much of the people's concern. After all, someone once said, in politics, half of your reputation is damaged by lies and the other half by the truth. However, what we need in Zimbabwe is a total change of government. We need to start afresh with different personnel. Again, you are saying something that is not there. Because there are people who are saying, we can't start, we need someone who's experienced, like ED. We don't care what he's accused of having done. And there you go, you are saying we want to start with new personnel. New personnel to do what? What if the new personnel who come and do the same thing? It's an intimidation tactic to cow ED not to fight back, but just call in his corner. Cousin, you're saying it's a tactic to cow. But is there a case to answer, yes or no? If there is nothing, then let's deal with the allegations and go to them and see what is it that is taking place. Otherwise, we'll keep on piling, having a whole symmetry of victims. I'm pretty sure he's guilty of many crimes. Mnangagwa knows it. Remember the DRCO report. Since people showed sympathy for his demotion, this investigation is to deter him so that ED loses public sympathy. Is it correct for us to use the criminal route to damage someone's name and reputation? Where are the facts? Let's deal with the facts. And then let's be able to abstract from that. And then Lamek Nyamkapa, welcome. Emmanuel Sunduza, many people in government. Government are dirty. Many people in government are dirty. No, Akaba, 15 billion. Or is it 15 pizza? I don't know. So if somebody is alleged to have stolen, what should be the next step? What are the facts? How many victims are there who can also testify as to the conduct of this or that government officer? Should it be sufficient for us not to talk about ED's conduct simply because there are people who have decided that ED must be the next president? Mambi Mdaweni Mdara Maramba 15 Biza. What is 15 Biza? Where is Mandich member? She once accused Mnangagwa and he remained quiet. So let's not rush. Maybe it's ED's strategy of keeping quiet. Nora Gula Lupe Gums. It's just a shame that Zimbabwe was a very prosperous African country that most African countries looked up to. Again, Nora, what is it that we are saying in terms of governance, in terms of what kind of public officers do we want? And who is to decide if already there is what? There is a problem just focusing on issues. Sekuru Bob, the fact is ZANU-PF has failed. What is ZANU-PF without the people? What is the ZANU-PF without Mugabe, without Mpoko, Mnangagwa, Jonathan? What is ZANU-PF? Should ZANU-PF be limited to the individuals that we dislike or like? Nore Kulalupe Gomes. We have to come as a people and start to take care of our country. What does that mean, Gomes? And because we talk about slogans, we talk about come together, but if we don't have the foundation of coming together, look for real people that are for change. Who is real, who is fake, and how do we decide who is real and who is fake? Should there be a barometer? And that's what we thought. Let's look at this topic in a holistic manner. First, is it fact that Mnangagwa is under probe? We know Jonathan was under probe, and there's a docket awaiting him. If so, is it politically motivated, the probe? What informs the probe? Is it succession or elimination? So, you have a part to play. So tell us what your thinking is on this issue. Any comment? Any comment? So what kind of Zimbabwe do you want to see? How best would that Zimbabwe be realized? By whom? What kind of change do you want to see? And who is to deliver it? So, are you listening? Okay, Lamek Nyamkapa says, what is your source? Sorry, just got invited. Leroy Chuma, welcome. I guess the source is, you are referring to, is the source for the story that we shared. I think the story is there. It is a story that was published in the September 29th issue of the Zimbabwe Independent. And that's what we've been discussing. So if you have any comment, any query, so I can now in the final minutes just go through what my own personal involvement is, what the facts that I have known. Some people may not know my connection with First Bank. And I wanted to add my own voice to the facts as known to me. No regular Lupe Gomes says, we have to take a chance at the end of the day. It's a chance that allows people to show us who they are as individuals. Who they are. Individuals need to come and show us the agenda, what they intend to do once in government. You can't keep on keeping the same individuals that are not doing anything. You have most of these people in government, these families, their families, all the farms and what they done with those farms. Serious tells me we have got to move forward. And Lamek says yes, and Nora, you got a point. You are saying that yes, we have to break from this past. We have to break from the tendency to look at past events and not look forward. And we need to find a new avenue to inspire, to excite people, to ignite people, to feel good once again about what it means to be part of the Zimbabwe project, if it's a project. How many people feel so disconnected? How many people feel so powerless? How many people feel that they don't count at all? How many people believe that it's only the few that actually know better? And we were talking here about something that the probe Lamek. Some people don't even want to know about the probe because they think it's witch hunting. How many people even today don't know about SMM? How many people don't know how the company was acquired? How many people are not even aware that I was not living in Zimbabwe? I was not a director of the companies that were affected. That it was not just the mines that was affected. There was a law that was put in place. How many people know the facts? Yet they are quick to make conclusions, to point fingers. If we know, we would know that all these actions that were done against me, against others, they have a source. And that source is an individual who is still in government or outside government. Yet people want to believe what they think they know. How many people approach me and say, I used to work for you, but I don't know the people. How could I have known 20,000 people working for different companies under the same common control? But the public thinks you know everything. What have I learned about power? That those we hold up, high up, we think they actually are walking on trodden ground, that actually they are far ahead of us. And they know what we don't know, but we don't give them the eyes to know what we know. Yet we expect them to know. We don't give them the legs that we have to use to move from point A to point B. Yet we expect the people in public office to know better. We have no mechanism of having checks and balances. And that is the problem that we are facing. How do we cure it? And I can tell you about, this is, I think David was talking about what? About Shinotimba. And this is just a conversation with Shinotimba. Some people may not appreciate it. Okay, let's see the that's what we're trying to encourage, active citizenship. Let's saying that I have my 60. Otherwise, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, but the mine is kumashingo anditi. Andiri makamba nakatorwa ari Harare, ari kuzvishavane, ari kumashawa. No, you are a national legislator and but suggestion kunani? Okay. But what would I be asking from them? Maybe I'm going to about why would I need to go Kwavari, and what would I be asking for? No, there is nothing which you want to go to. I said, so no, I'm not saying that. No, I'm just saying so. You mean you are understanding me? Yeah, no, I'm understanding. You are my national leader, and okay. But who do I speak to? Mashingo, what is chairman? Mashingo, I'm a chairman. Whether I go through writing whatsoever. I did it. Whether chairman, Mashingo, I don't picture a chairman. I don't picture a chairman. That I don't picture, I don't know looked out. I don't see I suppose. I want to when you know a chairman on the battery. Is it what out of the Tasaka? Little Masako. Can also talk about the weekend. My number is chairman. And Dina is okay. Hello. So you see, that's what politics has become, tribal. And you have asked no help, you receive a phone call, and then automatically it turns out that you must beg and you must write a letter to ask for justice to be done. And this is the Zimbabwe of 2017. That as a legislator, what is wrong? What are facts? I would understand when somebody says, let's look at the facts. Let's investigate the matter. If Mawere, you are wrong, you are wrong. And we take it from there. But it's not to be, because we have accepted something else, a new reality called something else. What is this reality that people in politics actually believe? They have a better claim. There's no need, just listen to me, do as I tell you. And Nore Gulalupe, my late grandfather was Minister of Finance. He was one of the most successful people because he was a CEO of a company. So working for the government was not for money. He truly did it because he was helping our country. It's time to break away from this system of poison and greed. Allow individuals to enter their names to be candidates, and let us make the decision based on their agenda and plan for the country to move forward. It takes time to change, but it still needs to have a start point. I remember my road, Akanaka, Zimbabwe, Muharare, vanhu vese vaimanya nokuti vanga vane mabasa. Do we not need all that? Yes, Nore, we may need that. But we have to start somewhere. Imagine a discussion between you and a legislator. You are talking about how to restore the rule of law. What are the facts? Let's deal with the facts. Ken Matenga says, let us all vote in 28. But we vote for what? That's what Nora is asking. There must be something that you see is wrong. But if we are saying for the same government, for the same people in the same bus, this one is better than the other, then we still have not reached the starting point. Because we are now seeking to say this one is a little bit blind, the other one is completely blind. And the people in the theater who are judging each other are not the people that vote. They are outside the voting arena. So how do we bring people into the public square where they can start to talk about real issues? Because what we are talking about is something else. So we talk about, okay, First Bank. How many people know how it started? How many people would wish not to know? You look at Nichols Diamond. You look at Fidelity Life. You look at Zimri. You look at CFI. And the sorry state that is in. You look at General Beltings. You look at Pigot Muscu. You look at Festel. You look at Victoria. You look at Schweppes. You look at all these companies that were affected as a consequence of this action. Would you want to know what these actions are? And Sekuru Bob says, you as an elder, great business-minded person, what should we do? All I can say is if we can improve our literacy about power, just to know what power is and how we can better democratize democracy so that people participate. Because you have seen even this conversation, there are people who want to dominate the conversation because they want the conversation to be about people, not in government. They want the conversation to be about Changirai. They want the conversation to be about Biti, about Mujuru. They want not about the government. The relationship between men and the reality of government. What kind of morality do we need in government? Who should be in government? There are people who have their own agendas and they have their own chosen successor for different reasons. But those reasons may not have anything to do with you or the next person you talk to. So how do you begin to deconstruct an ecosystem that would allow even Comrade Chinos to say, talk to you are a Karanga, so you must have a Karanga solution. So you are a businessman based in South Africa, then I must be now reduced to a villager. That the MP on his own cannot see what is wrong and want to correct it. And you say, let me tell you, this is the way to do it. Then imagine you are Mr. Oppenheimer and you have a business in Zimbabwe. Which tribe are they going to put you in? Who are you going to write a letter to the party that is not government? And you tell them what? And this is the kind of Zimbabwe that is there. That is a tribal Zimbabwe. It's an ethnic Zimbabwe. That the party is government. That the people in the party can actually use government for their own personal interest. And they can fight you using governmental power. Then King says, let us vote in 2018. For who, when people don't know who is who, how the government has been operating so far? Where is the wisdom about it? Where is the knowledge about how the government has been operating? Where is the wisdom about just understanding? Only a few days ago, a history of First Bank is written. In that history, there's no mention of where it started. People hijack and then say it's ours. The narrative goes. Then Duke says the victim is actually the culprit. Then we allow this narrative to unfold, to roll on. Pamela, this one is saying this one is saying this. Nobody's interested in the facts. To say, okay, now tell us, how did First Bank come in? How did you lose it if you lost it? And then we are not talking, why did it take you so long to speak out now with all the pain you went through? I've been speaking, but you have not been reading. I can tell you what I've been saying from day one. About First Bank, I can tell you, I can share with you now. It has to have people look at us Zimbabweans. That's not as if we are dumb and stupid. You said who should be in government by change. Like I said, let's start having people start campaigning to show individuals who intend to be in the election. Yes, we can have individuals, but if we don't know, like Sekuru Bob says, I didn't even know anything. And you are speaking now, it's like I'm born now. I've never been. I've had more than 23 court cases with the government of Zimbabwe. Do you know that, Sekuru Bob? Then he says, Lamek Maninji, why not try new blood, especially Mnangagwa after HE? He's loved by Zimbabweans. Lamek, you are saying, you are already saying you got a new candidate. What if he's not a new candidate? What if he associates with all the things that have gotten rotten in the chain of independence? Who is going to talk about that? That in your backyard, Shabani Mashaba is closed. Where is the voice of Mnangagwa on that alone? Have you ever heard his voice? To say, I'm troubled when my people have no jobs. I'm troubled when my people have no income. I'm troubled when my people have no future, are hopeless. Have you ever heard that voice? The eloquence of it on the people of Shavani and Mashawa. People talk of prostitution. Get stories. I passed through Shabani. It's no longer what it used to be. I passed through Mashawa. It's now a ghost town. Now a hostel. Then what would you say? So it's not that we want to start from nothing. And Lamek, he doesn't want to hear about ED. He doesn't like him. So I don't want to hear about ED patients. Patients, you must not speak for me. Let me speak for myself. Let me speak what I know, not what you wish me to know. And it's always not safe, not fair for you to then import your own thinking. All I'm telling Lamek, it's dangerous to have people like patients if that person exists. Devoid of any facts, but pregnant with an agenda. And Sekuru Bob, you may read this. This is unpacking the SMM acquisition is something that I posted, I did long time ago. And if you look at from 2004, what I have been saying, which is consistent, and Maria, this is Mtuma Mawere, one great former industrialist in Zimbabwe. It's not, this is, at least we know that you are a G40 supporter. No to G40, please. I don't support any G40. I don't even know what G40 looks like. Perhaps you can tell me, because you are limiting me and dividing Zimbabwe into G40 and other. Who are you to divide people and say you have to belong to this? You are not a stakeholder. And a patient says he is, as a matter of fact, G40. When I don't even know the address where I can meet this person called G40. Who are these people? But anyone you know who is interested in understanding what is wrong with Zimbabwe, I'm willing to spend time to educate. I'm willing to spend time to share my own experiences, because those are the experiences that are important. Because if we don't share what we know, it means our knowledge is limited. What if Mnangagwa is fingered in the collapse or the demise of SMM? Then what? Patients will say, no, keep it under the rug because it's my candidate. Lamek will say, no to G40. What has G40 to do with the facts? Let the facts speak for themselves. I said, let's talk about SMM, where it did start. How come the people, right now, Timba is saying, sorry, if you are G40, we don't take such lectures. I'm not a G40, and I don't even know what they look like, because they don't add anything. I can share with you now so that you see the issues that are there. I've talked about First Bank. I've talked about this whole issue of the party. For some people who don't know, I was the founding shareholder of First Bank Corporation. Marshall says, Marshall Jidao says, Mudara come home. Coming home is not the solution. What is the solution is what we are sharing here, so that if you know better, you act better, Masha. My physical presence will not cure the problem. I was not in Zimbabwe when the companies were operating. And my coming there does not change anything. If we don't respect the facts, if you want to be like Patience, Lamek, then you say, yes, we don't like any lectures. There is no lecture. The facts themselves will show who is in the facts and who is outside. But I can't share something I don't know. I can only share something that has been revealed to me through my own experience. So I'm not here trying to beg your attention. I'm here trying to help you understand what has caused or contributed to the demise of the economy. And some of the people you look up to are the very people that have destroyed the promise of Zimbabwe. But you don't know it. The only thing I can ask you is be patient. Patience. Be patient. Be interested in facts. And Maria Mapolisa said, thank you, Sekuru Bob. I think a proper introduction would be better. Maybe I missed it. Then pick one topic and talk on that so we can understand. Indirukunzwa Jiba Jaba. So Maria, this case is all about the issue of, I think if you look at the posting, it says, is Mnangagwa under probe? That is a question. If so, let me just come back. If so, is it politically motivated? What informs the probe? Succession or elimination? And at the beginning of this show, I read an article that was published in the Zimbabwe Independent, where information was shared that Mnangagwa is under probe. And some of the transactions that form part of this supposed probe deal with a company called Smoothness and First Bank Corporation. And as you may know, I was a founding shareholder of First Bank Corporation. And there are issues that I know that may assist you in better appreciating the evolution of the facts, the status of the bank, and why this matter is not old, because the facts in it will then be able to work from there. Sekuru Beb says, how can we bring back industry in Zimbabwe? I think the attitude towards investment also can give elasticity to the altitude, how far you can go. If you don't understand what has happened, then you are likely to repeat the same mistakes. And it becomes a merry-go-round. And that's why we're saying, let's be patient. Let's look at this. What if the facts of First Bank finger one person or another? Then should we not look at the facts, Sekuru Bob, or succumb to this intimidation that patients and others have invented for this platform? To say, we don't want to talk about this, because if you talk about it, then you must be G40. Because G40 is now a bus where people are condemned. So whatever facts you have become condemned to G40. When I acquired SMM 1996, some of the so-called G40 were in the primary school. And today, I'm being called a supporter that is being led by these people, just because it suits a certain narrative that Zimbabwe can either be this, you must decide. Either you are G40 or you support Mnangagwa. Choose. Everything else doesn't matter, except what people think ought to happen in Zimbabwe. So this kind of tyranny is developing legs, and people are giving it eyes, and people are like eagles checking what you say to see whether it fits into a straitjacket called G40 or another, whatever they choose to decide it. Then Marshal Chidau Makajga Tapwe Zambia Mdara. I don't know Kujga, what do you, if you are talking about TAP Zimbabwe, it was a company that was producing pipes and roofing material using asbestos from Zimbabwe. And that asbestos is no longer produced in Zimbabwe. If that's the company, it was a big employer in Zambia. Patience, it's nothing to do with ED. ED is because I have a relationship with First Bank. Hear me. It is the history of First Bank that is incorporated in this alleged investigation. The people who are investigating it, the people who investigated in 2005, never spoke to me. And therefore my version has never been part of the knowledge informing any choice. It's nothing to do with, if ED is not involved, he should be talking to you about what happened to the 20,000 jobs that were affected under his watch. The mines were in Midlands and Mashingo. He must tell you then, since you are in his corner and you have condemned me as a G40. So let's talk to each other. If a leader is silent while his people are perishing, then he must be the one to say, Mawere, we hear this thing has happened. It can't happen under my watch, because the jobs are not my jobs. The families that are supported by income, by those jobs, are not my job, are not my families. But I have a duty to make sure that a job that is lost is one job too many. You are not interested in that, patience. You are impatient to get to where you want to go. You are married to the person called ED. But what if ED is found wanting? Then what? Chivero Matanga Kunwa is saying, name calling is just a delaying tactic for a certain narrative that seems to inform on the demise of our economy. Maybe you may want to elucidate on that. Then Lamek says, your tearing into succession talks now does not help Mdara, especially towards the special Congress. Just sue people in court and not on Facebook. I'm already in court, for your information. Have you ever asked him, or you just come on Facebook saying, I cannot say rubbish before you see what rubbish is? I think Lamek, you'd agree. That has nothing to do with succession. The facts of First Bank speak for themselves. There's nothing I can do. I think after this, Sekuru Bob wanted to get to the facts so that we deal with this atmosphere and motive, because everybody is seen to have a motive. It has nothing to do with... If you asked me yesterday, I would have told you. And the same things I'm telling you today, I will tell you that I've already said it. It's not opportunistic. So if you don't know me, that's fine. But if you want to know me through what I've said before today, I can take all the references. I think it's available on Google anyway. I can now just Google Mawere Mnangagwa and you see what is there. So it's not opportunistic. It has nothing to do with succession. So you say, please stop shouting, we need to understand you. Patience, okay, if you need to understand me, that's fine. So I hope you can understand what I'm saying, that the facts are there. It's not me trying to import somebody into a matter that they don't know anything about. And I can't go to G40 on a matter that I have no idea. These guys, if they exist, it's just the mere fact of G40. If you take 1996 to 2017, you see it's what? It's 21 years. So G40, anyone who is 40, it means you are left with what? 19 years. So at the time when I acquired SMM, they could have been 19, some less than 19. So they may not have the facts. So why would somebody want to import somebody that I don't know of? Thanks, Patience. If you are listening now, that's fine. I think we need to listen to each other. We need to have facts. And I hope, Patience, you are patient enough just to look at the facts the way they are. If we are talking about the issue of smoothness, which has been referred to, I can now go to the facts. And then you can say, this is wrong or this is right. It has nothing to do with the individual, the person of Mnangagwa. You can't say you started a journey with your car. Then at the destination, somebody else is driving the car. Wouldn't you ask Patience, what happened? How come you are a hitchhiker today and yesterday you were driving a car? What are the facts that support this change of circumstances? If it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And if the person responsible is still alive, then it's never too late. So, then I think, but why not allow people to introduce themselves? I think you can see I don't know how many people altogether we now have, but it shows that we have reached about 3,900 views. I'm not sure how many are still there, how many have gone, have just listened and walked away, but that's what it is. And Nore says, but why not allow people to introduce themselves, new faces that intend to be politicians, like I said. I'm not sure whether you need to be allowed or you need to assert yourself. If you have an interest in being a political actor, I don't think there's any application. You just have to get on with it. People look at Boy as if we cannot rule ourselves. We all know the issue is we need a new government, point blank. We have to remove every one of the individuals in this current government, allow elections with candidates that can showcase their agenda, whether we know them or not. It all comes to starting afresh. All these are the individuals. It doesn't matter. Just allow new ideas and faces to help with the progress. I think, Nora, you are not hearing what Lamek is saying. Lamek is saying, I'm a poor politician. I just sue people in court. If your matter is already in court, then why talk on Facebook? Matters are argued in court. Except that Lamek, what he doesn't understand is that actually the public, where it is the use of public power, it's actually a public discourse. Because the public don't know what you know, Lamek. You may know what I'm talking about. But if you can't optimize on existing channels of social media to be able to reach to people like you, but if you're already saying my ears are full, I have no extra memory from which to absorb any new knowledge because I've made up my mind that ED is my man. There's nothing I can do. And what Nora is saying is opposite to what you are saying. Nora is saying, let's have new candidates. You are saying, no, I have my men. And you're entitled to do so. Nobody can tell you to do less than that. But surely if there's knowledge that we have, then let's use it. And Lisa Doolittle, to tell them, we are all listening, Mr. Mawere, Mambi Mdaweni, then 27 now, in terms of maybe the people who are there. I don't know whether it's presidents or 27 now. It's referring to people who are participating actively in this conversation. Nora said social media is the new way to communicate and discuss. I think there was even Oscar Pistorius, I think O.J. Simpson, all those trials, they were in court, but people still learned a lot from discussions of those court cases. Because tomorrow it may happen to you, Lamek, and you have no one to talk to, because the courts also are with people who also may have their own political worldview. That is different, who may not even be interested like you on facts, and you want to be able to railroad everyone to the desired conclusion that this candidate is the best candidate that there is in the world. So when we look at for people who have, I can just Google now, just for the purpose of what? Smoothness, Mawere, just to Google whether there's anything in there. Mnangagwa, so that we don't appear to be what? To be, because people always, Mawere speaks on Mnangagwa fallout, and let me open the link so that I can share this. This was in 2007, which is 10 years ago, and for Lamek and Patience, so that they see that this is not opportunism. This issue, and it's 2007, I cannot lie, facts cannot lie, and say you're just bringing it now because it's about succession, when it has nothing to do with succession. So I don't think that it's, I've sent the link, I'll open the link and read from what I said then, so that we don't have this confusion of people thinking that I'm only, and I don't think in 2007 there was this idea of what? Of G40 and the other one they call what, Lacoste or something. So this article says it was written by Sheikman Mugari. Mawere speaks on Mnangagwa fallout, and that was October 19, 2007. It's 10 years ago. South African-based Zimbabwean tycoon Mr. Mawere says his business problems were caused by a ZANU faction led by Emmerson Mnangagwa after he tried to block its front company, Smoothness Private Limited, from securing a loan from First Bank, FBC, in which he had an interest. In his first explanation of what went wrong between him and Mnangagwa, who was widely seen as his ally, Mawere this week said the seizure of his businesses started after he clashed with the Mnangagwa camp over the Smoothness deal, meant to raise funds for the ZANU-PF National Conference in Masvingo in December 2003, but actually it's 2004. He said he was punished for opposing the release by FBC of $1 billion to Smoothness for the purchase of shares from a ZANU-PF company, M&S Investments, to raise party funds. Mawere, who last week accused the so-called Cholocho Group and in ZANU-PF of instigating his woes, said the Mnangagwa faction reacted with a fierce backlash against him because Smoothness was owned by ex-Labour Minister and ZANU-PF Provincial Chairman July Moyo and prominent lawyer Edwin Manikai, seen as Mnangagwa's lieutenants. Although Manikai this week admitted he has an interest in Smoothness, he denied any links to Mnangagwa's camp. Manikai said Mawere's allegations were sour grapes. Mawere is unscrupulous, greedy, and vicious. But above all, he is a loser, a very bad loser, and a crybaby, Manikai said. Mawere has messed himself up and is now blaming everyone for his problems. I have nothing against him, but he must have a conscience. On the Smoothness deal, Manikai said it was a tired story created by Mawere to try and get him into trouble. Documents obtained by the Zimbabwe Independent when the Smoothness dispute erupted 3 years ago revealed that the company applied for a loan from FBC in October 2003 to purchase 23 million shares owned by M&S Investments from the then-listed Southern Africa Reinsurance Company, SARE. SARE has since been taken over by FBC. M&S Investments' stake in SARE was at the time worth about 500 million, but Smoothness was offering to buy it at 875 million. The proceeds from the sale were used to finance the ZANU-PF conference of 2004. The document shows that the loan was fast-tracked because of Smoothness' link to ZANU-PF. The FBC executive director at the time, Berikwazo Chitambo, wrote a strong supporting letter saying Smoothness' application should be given priority because of its links to Moyo, July Moyo. The names behind Smoothness are Edwin Manikai and Mr. Patrice Liwayo, recently qualified as an engineer and a man of straw, wrote Chitambo. Mr. Liwayo represents the interests of Mr. Minister July Moyo and should be accorded that priority. That is the article. So the article was published then. It could not have been published now. And the people who are saying this is opportunism at its best, they actually don't know. Simi Johani says, yeah, this Lamek dude doesn't like facts. He just argues for the sake of arguing. How are the facts, men? Why chicken out now? Here are the facts now. Why chicken out now? Where people don't want. Then I'll just turn this for you to see. I don't know whether you can see it. Okay, I think I was trying to get the copy of the actual document, but I think it's there. You may be able to see it. Turukona, I mean. So it was a document, an email dated 11 November 2003, which is some 14 years ago. The front office, Berikwazo Chitambo, smoothness was the subject, $1 billion, which was Zimbabwean dollars at the time. This is a structured deal introduced to the bank by John Mushayawan and to be executed by the hand of Mafion Gutsa. In my absence, refer to John Mushayawan for guidance. The Ministry of Labor will make a deposit of $1 billion at 70% per annum interest, and the bank will make a lending of equal amount to smoothness at a discount of 90%, preferably by way of a banker's acceptance. The bank should make its normal margin of about 20%. The names behind smoothness are Mr. Edwin Manikai and a Mr. Liwayo, qualified as an engineer and a man of straw. Mr. Liwayo represents the interests of Mr. July Moyo and should be accorded that priority. This is the information to hand from Mr. John Mushayawan, a high-level briefing. Dealers should not try to sell the smoothness banker's acceptance openly in the market. And then the actual application was on the 8th of October. And the security was the 1 million, the shares that would have been acquired valued at 875 million. And this was to be supported by a deposit from government. The deal was done. And this is where the problem, the documents are there, but clearly the people who have their own agenda would not, why would a deposit from government support a lending by another party? And these are the facts that people like Lamech, they don't want to deal with. What was this money used for? Was to be used for? It was to be used for the purpose of the party. And this is dressed as a private transaction, but using public funds. And who was the chairman of the credit committee at the time at the bank was no other than Mr. Herbert Ngala, who is now chairman of the bank. And what did Manikai say? Mawere is unscrupulous, greedy, and vicious. What does that got to do with the transaction? Above all, he's a loser, a very bad loser, and a crybaby. How do I lose? Mawere has messed himself up and is now blaming everyone for his problems. I have nothing against him, but he must have a conscience. At the time, the Zimbabwe Independent obtained the actual data, the information required to be able to make whatever decision to write a story. The story was written. So all this is not news. And if we are looking at something, then we ought to look, is it true that this is, and who is connected to who? Is Manikai connected to Mnangagwa? Is he in the G40? As people would want to reduce everybody. Either you are G40 or you are nobody. So, if you are interested in the facts related to smoothness, just tell me so that I can Google and just read to you the connection between Manikai, July Moyo, and Mnangagwa. And this is not news. This has always been there. So it's not so much something that is new. If you go to the time when this issue of smoothness was, so if you didn't know anything about this, then you can indicate and say, I didn't know anything about it. This is the first time I'm knowing something about it. Yeah, this is July 2004. I think that was the so that's there is another article, Minister in a loan scandal, and that we can all read. Let me just take a copy of it so that we can go through it together. This was published by the Sunday Times, the South African publication, and this is what was published. So, just for the purpose, minister embroiled in loan scandal, Sunday Times Foreign Desk, Zimbabwe's Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare Minister, July Moyo, has been accused of using cash from his own department as collateral for a 1 billion loan for a company owned by two close associates. Moyo's ministry said to have deposited the money into a first bank account to secure a loan for Smoothness Investments. Smoothness is partly owned by National Social Security Authority, NASA Chairman Mr. Edwin Manikai, who was appointed by Moyo to head up the NASA Public and Private Sector Pension Fund. Police spokesman Wayne Vujena has confirmed that Moyo was interrogated on January 16th after law enforcement agents received a tip-off document detailing the 1 billion loan transaction. Moyo Manikai and his partner Patrice Luayo were reportedly grilled for hours by the police, but the three strenuously denied accusations of wrongdoing. In the end, police said police had no interest in the issue, but would investigate further if new information was found. Those linked to the loan deal have dismissed the issue as a mere smear campaign connected to President Mugabe's succession debate. President First Bank confirmed that Smoothness was their client, but refused to give further details. And this article was published in 2004. And 2005. That's when it was published. So nothing much has changed. Those are the facts. Who would be interested, not interested? If the police said there is no case to investigate and money did exchange hands, it's not in dispute. Smoothness was First Bank's client pursuant to the advance of money backed by a deposit from the Department of Labor. Those are the facts. And I can't say I created these facts or I created them for succession. Anyone can access these facts, make their own decision, and there's nothing I can do to change those facts. But you can read for yourself and be able to make your own conclusion. Who was Manikai? Who was July acting? Why would the same vice president who is against corruption, on the one hand, he would pursue other corrupt cases and say that he wants to flush them out. But on this one, it's not the way it looks. It's Mawere who is the issue. So I don't know if there are any questions. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, then I will have to close. So Nore Gulalupe says, Gam says, thank you and wish you the best. No, in fact, don't wish me the best because these facts are there. I should wish you the best because you have to be able to learn from this and keep your vigilance. I wish you the best in your legal battles to get what you say. Bob, don't even wish me any best. You must wish yourself the best because if you are interested about Zimbabwe and this is being done in your name, then you wish me the best. Who am I? The best is reserved for the people whose lives are affected. And if you are interested in the future of Zimbabwe, and you hear names being mentioned as your possible future leaders, wouldn't you be concerned about them? Because they don't want you to talk about these facts. They are inconvenient. They want to talk to you about what is convenient to them. And when President Mugabe dies or he vacates office, they will say, oh, this was done in his name. One day, when Vuzijena confirms that there's interrogation, and the next day, there is no evil. There is no mischief. And then we'd also deal with the role of Manikai. Who is Manikai? Because he is the one to whom the loan is granted. And this is the same bank I established that has already been captured to do laundry business. How would you respond to these facts and circumstances? Segur Bob, what would you do? Segur Bob, what would you do? So, no response. Secretary Bob maybe is gone. I know. So that is what it is. So for this, if it looks like there is no response or there is no comment, either the information shared is satisfactory and people want to digest it. If that is the case, Zimbabwe is not considered for business. That's Lisa Doolittle, and that's I think we all are saying Zimbabwe is our business. There are people who would want the information that you know now not to be in the center stage where I become the focus. They would rather not discuss about the inconvenient facts. Sekuru Bob will stay here in the West. I think wherever you stay, it should be irrelevant. But if you know what you now know today, it means you actually have the obligation of sharing it, of debating around it, and be able to come to your own conclusion as to what kind of future you want for Zimbabwe. Some people will see us as opportunists who are talking about things that should not be talked about. Some people would want us to be the reason why they actually should be in power, because we then can be caricatured as this G something or G whatever, because that is convenient. When you reduce somebody else to an agent of another, you are effectively taking away his humanity and substituting it with somebody else's aspirations, somebody else's mindset. And Gelo said, so a coup won't be recognized. A coup against who, and who would be the one staging the coup? Because when you know what you know, it's not about a coup. You may find that the people who are guilty are not the people you think ought to be guilty. You may find that the people who have a case to answer are not exactly the people you would expect to be on the other side. So when you respect facts, and as Emmanuel said, let's go beyond one case so that each one can bring their own cases. I have no doubt that Strive will have his own stories. James Makamba will have his own stories. Frank Bianga will have his own stories. There are many stories in the business front that can be told, ought to be told, and then people can be able to make their decision if they have to do it. And people will be ignited to do something and to register their own opinion on issues based on fact. And here we can have a conversation, a healthy conversation with Vice President Mnangagwa. Do you know a person called July Moyo? What was your relationship with him at the time? Were you aware of this transaction? What was the background to it? Who was in charge of the party investment? Who was the seller? Who was the buyer? When you were selling, did you know who the buyer was? Because the facts show that M&S Investments was represented by Mnangagwa. Did he have knowledge that this deal was to be financed through this opaque mechanism. And when the funds were received, did he take the funds knowing that on the back of the lending was money from government? What happened to the funds? Who used the funds? Was it the party that benefited? Was it the party that went to Congress, financed by this money, transmitted through this mechanism? Who was aware of this transaction? When did they become aware of the transaction? And in the bank, what happened? How did the transaction end up with Sari being owned by First Bank and Smoothness being out of it? If Smoothness was buying value, what did they pay for it? And how did the bank give money on the back of shares traded on the exchange? So who knew what when? Was this the same money that was used to pay the Cholosho people or the chairman to entice them to vote in a particular direction? If not, where did the money come from to finance UPP, UPM? So all those questions become relevant. It's not just succession in isolation. It's succession with a paycheck. And who was the paymaster? Where did the funds come from? And if it was Smoothness, who was in the nest? How smooth was the nest? So important questions have to be asked. Not just about this transaction, but many other transactions. But there are people who support without facts, and there are people who don't care about facts anyway, because their minds are made up. And what if this happens and the consequence is darkness at Shavani, at Mashawa? What then happens? Would you live with the conscience that you could have done something but did nothing? So on that point, I can say thank you for the time, the 2.5 hours that we have spent talking, answering questions. I hope it has assisted those who want to be assisted. I hope you now be able to inform your conversations with content that you may not have heard. Now that you have heard it, you can then do your own searches to see whether this opportunism at play or whether this is actually something that has always been there. But because we don't have addresses to go, we all use our own imagination, speculation, gossip, and innuendo to inform the choices that we have to make. And that's a pity that people seemingly educated, yet so illiterate on the basic things that don't require any certificate, that your citizenship. And that's what we can do. And Simba Mjuru says, when are you going to, if there are any crimes, Mjuru, they will be processed by the appropriate people. And that's what we are saying. Let it be tested. Let it be, if there's a crime, let it not be allegation. Let it be tested and contested in an open court so that we all know what the facts are. Because it's usually people want to attribute actions. How many crimes is President Mugabe alleged to have committed? Even on Smoothness, they will say he was behind it. Yet you may find that actually the facts show that there were a clique within the party who knew what they were doing. But how many people who point a finger at whoever the leader is? And when you say leadership, is the ability to be blamed for things you don't know anything about, crimes you didn't commit. Yet the people who are responsible will hide and will be protected by people like you who say, I'm Simba. I'm not interested in the facts that we're discussing, but I'm interested in Mawere, because that's your departure point. But your government is where your focus should be, and the people who take an oath to save you, they must discharge their responsibility accordingly. So Simba, put your strength where it's required. Don't divert your attention from what is required so that no more job losses can occur because of the willful intent of others or the mischief of others. Government power, the power to tax other people, that power is not reserved for smart people. Otherwise, everybody who wants to be in government. It's reserved for servants, for trustees who have to act in your name and on your behalf. I hope that helps. If it doesn't, then there's nothing more I can do than to share what I know and what is already in the public domain. There's nothing new, but it's just revisiting the facts so that the history is told in its proper perspective, rather than history that is then shaped, massaged. And Simba, my own issue is you were once on that side. I'm not sure what side you're talking about. You're talking about sides. The facts speak for themselves. It will tell you that I was not on this side. And it will tell you that history is shaped by events that have happened. So you don't have an issue with me if you know what you know. Simba, are you convinced that money from the Department of Labor was used to support lending to a company that bought shares from a vehicle purportedly presented as a party vehicle, and the proceeds were then used to finance a conference when it was uncovered? And if you are aware of that, are you worried that those facts could happen again? And if it can happen again, it will happen again because you have allowed it to happen, because you refuse to learn. Take those facts, check with them like everybody else. Check the facts, test them. If they are wrong, they are wrong. There's nothing you can do. But if indeed the facts are what they were, and the bank confirmed there was subsequent lending against that structure, what would you do, Simba? And this is the bank that you started. Is now being used. They don't go to another bank. They don't go to Standard Bank. They don't go to Barclays Bank and do the same transaction. And this is the bank that they didn't start. They didn't finance. But now they want to use it. Then tomorrow it says, but Mawere, you didn't know about it, and it was done by your bank. How would you answer that question? Like now people say, but President Mugabe, how can you say you didn't know? Everything that Mnangagwa has done, you must know. So why would they need to probe something that is already known by the principal. If he knew all the facts at the time they happened, would President Mugabe be party to a transaction involving government money being channeled to a private company? And then when it's discovered, then people panic and say it was not our money, it was actually done for and on behalf of the party, when the person concerned was not the Secretary of Finance for the party. He was the Secretary for Administration. And all this was done without the knowledge of the Secretary of Finance, who didn't even know about the shares in SARE. What would you do, Simba? Would you focus your lenses on me, or would you focus your lenses on the facts? I think it's easy to create issues. It's easy to point a finger. But if you never elected me into government office, ordinarily I should owe you no explanation. But the people you have participated to happen to be in government, you say, why do we allow? You should not allow anyone a freedom of speech. Who wants a dirty hands preached to us? You should not allow anyone. In fact, you should allow people to speak. Whoever it is. Whether you call them dirty because you are a judge now, Simba, and if it was your country, I don't think you allow me to live. Unfortunately, the life we live in, it's life that is, what is the point of social media? It's to allow you to have a voice, so we don't feel voiceless. But what you are suggesting is that why do we allow? That question alone is pregnant. And Ginola Simba, Mnangagwa is wanted by UN for looting DRC diamonds in late 1990s. In Kwekwe, his criminality is well known and disputed. Whatever happens to him, just like Mam Juru, we don't care, as long as it make him broke as his subject. So I don't know, Simbam Juru, what really you are saying, that the freedom of speech must be prescribed, must be limited. And Sekur Bob said, jungle politicians come with nothing but God-given balls to close $1 billion deal. So I think, Sekur Bob, you can see, and Simba, I think you can answer yourself. What kind of country do you want? What kind of civilization do you want? Do you want a civilization where you become the judge and people become guilty as you wish them to be? Is that the case? That the country should be reduced to you as a judge of other people's acts, and you alone knows what is best for all of us? Is that the kind of Zimbabwe that you want, or the kind of future you want? You say, but you owned mines too. Yes, look at what happened. Be alive. We go through the mines and then see what happened. Then we can talk about it and see the end of the very people you are supporting. If you are supporting them at all. But if just for the purpose of conversation, you need to know the story. Why would a car that is moving, somebody passes a law that Mujuru leave the car, somebody else must drive it. Manikai, Gwaradzimba must drive the car and drive it to a ditch. No one is held accountable. The jobs that are there, you won't find the people you support actually going around angry, as you must be angry. that the mines were working, and today it's ghost town. What happened? Who do you hold responsible? This is your country. You must be asking for a commission of inquiry, a judicial commission of inquiry. Then, have you ever supported ZANU-PF financially? Personally, no. And then Abel Oliphant says, yes, Mr. Mawere, you are not a politician, but didn't you benefit from the ZANU-PF? If there's benefit, let's talk about it. And say, this is the benefit, and this is what happened. So that we have an open discussion. That's why we have this forum able. Simba, let's look at the support. Let's look at what it is that you are saying. If it is support, if it is an individual like you and me, because you supported them when they were killing people. If you believe that I supported the killing by association, so let's all be judged by the same yard standard. All companies that work in Zimbabwe, you can't say the use of public power must be used in a manner that offends the constitution that you have. Then you are saying, yes, a person who can do this to one person, it means one person too many. If you don't see that, then tomorrow it's going to be you. And Simba, you'll be focusing on the wrong person. The people you elected are accountable to you. If you believe that they were supported improperly by somebody, you have the right to be able to make them accountable. In fact, the question must be to the people you support. Did you conduct yourself in the public interest? If yes, how so? The question that you are targeting at me, you should go to ZANU-PF coffers. And they should be able to honestly answer and say, we got money from this company, we got money from that company, we got money from that company. All the questions that are relevant, if it's gravy train, then you are saying, how big is the train? Who was in it? Who was not in it? So that we have transparency. But you can't limit your questions only to one. If you want your public officials to be accountable to you, then let's look at that and say, what should happen? Is it happening? If not, why not? So that the next government will be guided by the same principles that you would have put in place. Because you are the government, Simba. There is nobody other than you. But if you are the one who is sleeping on the wheel, it means people will continue to do that, and you continue to look at the symptoms and say, why is Zimbabwe where it shouldn't be? When you are the very person who has participated in giving the wheels to make Zimbabwe what you don't want to see. If you are a public official, you must be concerned. I don't see your anger to say, I wish if I knew this information so many years ago, I would have done something about it. Today I would know who should never be in government and who should be in government. And alas, you are not asking that question. Your preoccupation is Mawere. Because you believe that your public officials must not be accountable. Okay, if we truly believe in freedom of expression and speech, then those who want to be prophets should put cards on the table. Precisely. That's what I gave you the information. Let's go to First Bank. Let's go to SMM. Let's go to the facts. And in the meantime, you can actually visit Friends of SMM, FOSMM.org. You can Google it, you can go to the site and pick up the information so that when you are talking, Simba, you are not just shooting from the hip. You are shooting from what you know. And these are the facts. How was the company acquired? Was government involved? If it is, the facts won't lie. So people need to know the facts, then act upon the facts. But don't be superstitious. Don't be the judge, jury, executioner. Just be ordinary, Simba, and just be an ordinary human being. And I think nobody is yet by you saying, I know now what I didn't know yesterday. And I want to know more. So let's have these exchanges. Then you see for yourself. Then you can say, the cards on the table, they don't reveal all the information. And you have a prerogative to reject. Because there is no mechanism I have to force you to accept what I'm saying as true. So there is no compulsion. But actually to encourage others not to listen, not to have the information, because your job is actually to divert, then it's not fair to you. It's not fair to others, because tomorrow it will visit somebody who is close to you. And what are you going to say? What I know is you have views about me, and what? And that's as it should be. You are entitled to your views. But surely where you have something that you didn't know before, embrace it. Because it will take you far. But if you reject it, you are condemning other people to a lesser standard of living. When it was the gypsies, people said Hitler was actually on point. When it was other people, the Poles, Hitler was okay. When it came to your doorstep, then that's when people discovered, actually this is corrosive. This experiment is not good for anybody. So the people you look up to, and they are there because of you. They are there because of your acquiescence. They are there because of your complicity. They are there because of your consent. Those are the people you need to bring to book. Keep your eyes on the prize. Otherwise, all of us will become criminals to you. So thank you, Sekuru Bob. I think those with ears have heard. Those who want to learn will learn that active citizenship, it's not an invitation. It's your country. It's your future. It may not be your immediate interest, but do something. When you say SMM was a big company, it didn't just grow on trees. We don't, Zanu, and we don't trust you either. You don't have to trust me. I'm not asking for your trust. What I'm saying is just look at the facts. Just focus on the trust, on the facts. Trust the people you have put in trust. They are your trustees, not me. You have as negative views as you can on me. It doesn't, nothing turns on it. But if I had done nothing in Zimbabwe, the government would not have taken interest in SMM. It's common cause. You can't go for a mosquito to do what? With a sledgehammer. Eh? You can't reconstruct in something that is dead. You would know. But if you want to make me the subject of your attack, you are welcome. Because I can't stop you going nowhere. But if you want Zimbabwe to be the object of your interest, then please focus on what the prize is. Don't focus on dogs. If Mawere is barking like a dog, keep going. But if what I'm saying is important for where you are going, then please embrace it in all honesty, in good faith, because you may need it when the people you trust turn like lemons. Then you say, but I wish I'd done something then. So that's all I can say. I can't force you, Simba. I can't argue with you. I don't have the time to do so. It's just a waste of my time. But all I can do is share what I know. And if what I know is not good for you, you are still entitled to be yourself. And don't be defensive. Please engage Mujuru till he's satisfied. Don't take it personal yourself. I'm not taking it personal, Abel. What I'm saying is I'm engaging him, but there's nothing I can do if his mind is focusing on me, on the rear view mirror, and he wants to make me the party. There are people who are elected, who are in government, because you gave them that power. It's borrowed power. I never borrowed anything from Simba. So there comes a point when it's just futile to continue to what? To talk for the sake of talking. Because there are people who never be satisfied, because they alone think the universe resides in their minds. And therefore, Abel, Oliphant, you can't put something that is already full. When we ask about your involvement now, you don't have time. I'm saying is, I have done everything. Ask me questions about what the facts are, what I've shared. Then let's talk about it. You can rebel on the facts and say, no, this never happened. That's fine. But those who know, they will be able to say, what you have said, I can corroborate it. It was written by other journalists. We can call them if they're still alive. And then check with them. Did you write this story? What facts did you rely upon? It doesn't have to come to me. So it is important that we deal with facts. And if we are saying there is a matter that involves Mawere setting up a bank, and today the bank is under a certain people's control, you must ask yourself, what happened to lead to this? And if there are facts that are there, you must deal with the facts, investigate them, interrogate them, query them, challenge them. But don't challenge the messenger. He can't change the facts. That's what they are. There was a company called Smoothness. Yes. If we debate, let's debate. Yes, I welcome debate. What is the issue that you need to debate on? You want to debate me or debate the issues? There was a company called Smoothness Investments Private Limited. It was a shelf company. It engaged in a deal where there was a buyer of shares and a seller of shares. Who was the buyer? Smoothness. Who was the seller? Mnangagwa. Did Mnangagwa know that this thing was going to be financed by money from government? If he didn't, then he must tell us, where did he think the money was coming from? As the seller who was to receive value. So those are the questions that we need to ask. So yes, Simba, debate is welcome. I don't think it's a personal issue. You're not offending me, but you are just offending yourself and others who may want to move on, to make their choices rationally and say, now I know something I didn't know. I want to act on it. But don't make me the object. Because I'm not in a public space. There are people, yesterday I was talking to someone, he thought I was in ZANU-PF, I was a member of ZANU-PF, I was a party functionary. When that is not true. I've addressed that issue before. But then you have people who still believe what they want to believe. That you are a beneficiary, therefore you can't claim a loss. Tafazo Amasedze, put Simba live. Simba, would you want to be live? I have no problem in putting Simba on live, but don't speak to him for him. He can speak for himself. He can talk about what the facts are. There's no problem. So Simba, it has been said that you can what? And we are coming, I think we have been on air for too long. But Simba, do you want to add your voice? Oh, he said, let's set a debate for sometime this week. Okay, you can tell me when you are available, then we arrange a suitable time so that we can deal with it and you identify the issues. If this issue of the intersection between ZANU-PF, First Bank, Mawere, let's deal with it. The intersection between SMM, ZANU-PF, and Mawere, let's deal with it so that we all have the same information. So there is no, I think, what has happened. I can't change it. But it is important that we learn from it. We then deal with what the facts are. Everything's up for debate. You are the man. So take a break. I need to set up a bank here. Excellent. So I think we are all in the same, and the video is coming to an end in 3 minutes anyway. So let's take a break, and until we meet again. And take a break, I need to set up a bank. Yeah, no, certainly, Sekru Bob. Let's do that. Let's build institutions. We have done it before. We have built institutions, and we have done a lot. And thank you, Simba. It's only people like you who make us alert. Because every time you put a jab on somebody, whatever it is, it makes us come to the party or step up to the plate. So on that score, I can say goodbye. We have done our bit. We have done our service. And those who have ears can listen. Those who think can think. Those who act can act. Those who query can query. Those who have no raw materials to make democracy work, they can use the material they've now been given to start asking the uncomfortable questions, so that those public office bearers can begin to answer, not to hide behind Mugabe, as if Mugabe must know everything. There are things that he doesn't know, and he has no mechanism of knowing. Thank you very much. So, Benford, thank you. It's bad, but there is an audio, you can listen to it. Thank you.